Chapter 121. Little Selina put her head back, closed her eyes and opened her mouth vigorously, waiting for Chen Mo to give her a piece of sugar happily. It's just a pity she guessed wrong. A drop of bright red blood dripped into Selina's open mouth from Chen Mo's fingertips. Selina felt something enter her mouth and quickly closed her mouth and licked her tongue. However, the familiar taste in her mouth told her that it was not sugar but blood. Opening her eyes in disbelief, Selina saw Chen Mo's hand being retracted and a trace of bright red blood on the tip of a finger. Feeling that she was cheated, Serena tooted her mouth and looked at Chen Mo angrily. Chen Mo, stared by Selina's big eyes, ignored her discontent, but carefully watched her changes with her head down. After drinking a drop of Chen Mo's blood, Selina's angry little face gradually turned red with the speed visible to the naked eye, recovering the natural state when Chen Mo first met her in the workshop. Obviously, the perfect blood from Chen Mo has worked. To little Selina, Chen Mo didn't dare to let her test the sunshine first, but put the finger just punctured and with a trace of blood into her mouth. Open your mouth. Little Selina doesn't want to buy Chen Mo's account this time. She pouts her lips and turns away from Chen Mo. A piece of candy. The temptation of her favorite candy made Serena lick her lips, but the angry little guy still gave a stubborn snort and still twisted her head to avoid Chen Mo. Chen Mo couldn't help laughing, too. Little Selina was a little confused. She turned her head and looked at her fingers hesitantly, but she still refused to open her mouth. 10. Chen Mo's voice is full of confidence. With his knowledge of the little guy, she can't resist the temptation of so many sweets. As expected, hearing Chen Mo's 10 pieces of candy, Serena swallowed a mouthful of saliva and opened her mouth without hesitation. Her eyes were full of happiness. 10 sweets. Is it better to eat 1 piece a day or all at once? Too much. How happy. One side of Amelia looked at this scene. The corner of her mouth could not help but show a smile, this useless little greedy cat. Chen Mo squeezed another drop of blood into Selina's mouth. This time, little Selina closed her mouth quickly with a frown. If she hadn't thought about the 10 candies Chen Mo promised, she would have vomited the blood out of her mouth. Chen Mo looked at her frown and asked with a smile. "What flavor?" said little Selina with a look of disgust. "Salty and fishy, not good to drink." After that, she also had some doubts. The first drop of blood she had just drunk was still fragrant. How could it become hard to drink this time? Hearing Selina's answer, Chen Mo was relieved at last. Obviously, she has now recovered her normal taste for blood and got rid of the dependence on blood. His perfect blood really works. With this proof and the change of Serena's skin color, Chen Mo is not worried about the test of sun exposure. Chen Mo leads Serena to the window and still gently opens the curtain to let in a little sunshine. When she saw the golden sunshine, little Selina was very happy. She had not seen the sunshine for a long time. She was not allowed to go out by the adults. There was never a ray of sunshine in the castle. She almost forgot the feeling of the sunshine on her body. Selina could not help but walk 2 steps towards the bright sunshine and carefully watch her slant on the floor. See the side of Chen Mo's Amelia did not stop. Little Selina gently extended her little hand and put it under the sun. There was no burning pain that the adults had told her before. The sun was shining on her white hands, only warm and bright. Chen Mo, standing behind him, finally let go. It seems that his perfect blood is no different from that of Alexander Kovina's, and his feelings are not wrong. His body has been completely transformed into immortal body by perfect blood, and what his own body produces is the purest perfect blood. Lord, you lie. The sun doesn't hurt at all. Little Selina shook her little hand in the sun and looked up at Chen Mo angrily. Chen Mo, with a smile, reached out to open the curtain and let the sun shine through the window. Originally, the dark and cold study was filled with sunlight, becoming clear and bright, and a little more warm. Suddenly, the bright light made little Selina a little uncomfortable. She quickly covered her eyes with her little hands. After a while, she tentatively put it down, squinting and tiptoeing out of the window. But she was too short. No matter how hard she tried to stand on tiptoe, her head was always shorter than the windowsill, and she could not see the outside. Seeing her anxious little face flushed, Chen Mo smiled and held her up. Little Selina sat on Chen Mo's bent arm, one hand around his neck, and looked out of the window excitedly. Chen Mo's study is on the main building of Blackstone Castle. Through the window, you can see the strong castle, the tall wall, and the vast plain in the distance. The green grass and trees, the vast blue sky, and the white clouds floating in the sky make Selina very happy. Less than 10 years old, she lived in the castle for several years without sunshine. She had already forgotten what the outside world looked like. At this time, she was as excited and happy as the first time. The sun did burn you before, but it will never again. You can play in the sun. And you don't have to drink any more blood. You can eat what you want as before. Selina claps her hands happily, wriggles to let Chen Mo put her down, rushes out of the study happily, runs towards the stairs, looks like she can't wait to go outside and have a good time. Amelia was a little uneasy. After a silent salute to Chen, she hurriedly followed him. With a smile on his lips, Chen Mo returned to the desk and sat down. A bottle of perfect blood remained on the table, shining scarlet in the sun. Alexander Corvina's body recovered very quickly. Chen Mo carefully controlled the amount of blood taken when he took it. Losing that blood would only make him temporarily weak for a period of time, and there would be no life danger. With his strong physical quality, he would be able to recover soon. After Chen Mo's own evolution, a large amount of blood drawn from him was left. Chen Mo used them to strengthen all the rest of the knights and the craftsmen of the workshop, completely eliminating the original defects of vampires. After drinking a drop of blood from Chen Mo, the knights cheered and took off their helmets, bathed in the warm sunshine, and recited Chen Mo's name in their hearts. The artisans and their families also happily walked out of the cave and bowed down in the direction of the castle. They thanked Chen Mo for giving them strength and eternal life, and helping them find the lost light. It has to be said that Alexander Corvina's is lucky. If the blood drawn before is not enough to support Chen Mo's evolution, Chen Mo will certainly continue to draw the perfect blood from him until he finally completes the evolution. Now, with the success of Chen Mo's evolution, all the vampires under his command are free from the fear of the sun and the dependence on blood. At last, he has ended the fate of being drawn blood, and no longer needs to be a blood cow. He has gained the blood of perfection and successfully evolved into immortal body. His ultimate goal of coming to this world has been overfulfilled, but Chen Mo is not in a hurry to leave. Now Chen Mo has a real eternal life. Time has no meaning for him. A year, a decade, or 100 years are just a number for him. Why rush for a moment? Besides, he has a lot to do. At this time, the whole European continent has been completely under the rule of Chen Mo, from the Atlantic coast in the west to the Ural Mountains in the east. The vast land between them has all become Chen Mo's territory, and all the civilians on the land have become his people. It's not appropriate to call him Lord at this time. 3 months later, Chen Mo, the ruler of the European continent, formally ascended the throne at Blackstone Castle and established a powerful empire across Europe. Andrew, Amelia, Victor, and Marcus were awarded the title of the highest-level Golden Knight of the Knights of the Temple, and were made duke, each of them granted a vast land as their fiefdoms. Of course, this is just their apparent identity. In the vampire empire created by Chen Mo, which is unknown to ordinary people, the 4 of them will be the 4 elders of the vampire family and manage the whole vampire family for Chen Mo. Due to the transformation of perfect blood, vampires no longer need to turn into mummies and enter a dormant state as in the movie to improve their strength. Like Alexander Corvina's, with the accumulation of years, their strength will naturally increase, of course. The speed of this increase is very slow. Alexander Corvinus, the first immortal, has lived for hundreds of years, and his strength has only reached 6 times of that of ordinary human beings, which is only twice as strong as that of ordinary vampires with 3 times of the physical quality of ordinary people. Of course, this is enough for him to crush ordinary vampires. In fact, after the transformation of perfect blood, they get rid of the dependence on blood. They can no longer be called vampires, but they still retain the echolocation ability of bats, so Chen Mo thinks it is more appropriate to call them Batmen. For Marcus, the vampire's ancestor, Chen Mo didn't want to kill him. Chapter 122. Although he has the ambition to rule the human race, in fact, his goal has been achieved by Chen Mo, and now the whole Europe is under the rule of Chen Mo and his vampires. Of course, Chen Mo's people don't know about the existence of vampires. In their eyes, Chen Mo is their king, the god they believe in, and the mighty knights are all servants of God who give them powerful power. The more powerful these knights showed, the more faithful they became to Chen Mo. In recent years, Marcus has done a lot under Chen Mo's hands and has made great achievements. In addition to helping Chen Mo turn his core subordinates, knights and workshops into powerful vampires with infinite life, Marcus also led his knights to lay a large area for Chen Mo in the foreign war with his powerful strength. Especially when Chen Mo found the trace of Alexander Corvinus in Western Europe, Chen Mo mobilized Andrew, Amelia, and Victor to help him search for the ancient immortal who was extremely good at hiding. For quite a long time, Chen Mo put his experience in the west of Europe and led a large number of people and horses to play hide and seek with Alexander Corvinus. The rest of Eastern Europe was basically conquered by Marcus. These achievements are clearly placed there, so Chen Mo did not completely wipe out his achievements because of his villain's identity and cold performance in the film. As long as he did not betray Chen Mo, he would always be the Duke of the Empire and one of the 4 elders in charge of the vampire family. He deserved all this, and he paid for it with his own actions. And Chen Mo also believes that he dare not betray himself. The 4 great dukes of the newly appointed empire soon took off their military uniforms and put themselves into the construction of the empire. After hundreds of years of war and the slaughter of werewolves, the whole European people were in dire need of rest. All the Knights of the Temple were granted different titles of knights and titles of nobility according to their own merits, and obtained corresponding territories. Now that the war is over, the knights no longer need to fight everywhere. Their task has become to guard Blackstone Castle and the capital, exterminate bandits, and maintain internal stability of the empire. Of course, these are only temporary. With the completion of the formation of the new city guard, they will go to all parts of the country to safeguard the stability of the empire and maintain local public order. The knights will be stationed in Blackstone Castle as the highest combat force, so they can easily stop going out, and the knights can also have time to return to their own territory in turn for construction and management. Of course, the new nobles and lords of the empire no longer have the right to form an army. In addition to the right to form guard forces ranging from a dozen to hundreds according to their titles, their fiefdoms are the same as the territories directly under the empire. The guard forces are dispatched by the empire and managed by the imperial military department. In addition to the management and tax rights of the territory, the aristocratic lords lost their military power completely and cut off the possibility of supporting soldiers in the future. Although the Knights of the Knights Order are extremely loyal to Chen Murong, there is no such possibility, but it's hard for the new aristocrats to say in the future. Chen Mer still takes precautions and tries to perfect the aristocratic fiefdom system. When Andrew, Marcus, and other people were in a headache and fell into the complexity of empire building, Chen Mo and Alexander Corvinus appeared in the dungeon where William, the first ancestor of the werewolf, was imprisoned. Through the dark and long corridor, and embedded in the wall, tall and heavy human-shaped steel cage appeared in front of them. Insert the torch in his hand into the shelf on the wall. In front of Corvina's, Chen-mo takes out a large and a small two delicate disc keys from the space and puts them into the hollow in the middle of the cage. The two keys are just embedded in the groove and connected with the whole steel cage. As Chen-mo twists the disc, accompanied by a sound of gear rotation and metal friction dragging the chain, the complex mechanism locks on the cage are released one by one, and the whole steel cage is slowly opened. Under the eyes of Chen-mo and Alexander Corvina's, a huge white-haired werewolf roared out of the cage, opened his mouth with blood, and rushed up to them with a roar. In the face of this fierce and furious beast, Chen and Mo did not panic at all. They glanced at Alexander Corvina's. Chen and Mo reached out quickly, grabbed William's wrists and twisted them outwards. Then they locked his arms and could not move any more. Then Chen-mo raised his right foot and swept forward. He tripped William to the ground, kneeling on his knees. At the same time, he pressed him hard on the ground, unable to get up. William, the powerful ancestor of werewolf, was easily controlled by Chen-mo, unable to move. He could only kneel in place and roar with pain and anger. Holding William's arm in both hands, Chen-mo looks to Alexander Corvina's. "Let's go." Alexander Corvina's frowned and looked at William, who was as wild as a wild beast in front of him. He came forward with a face full of awe. He drew out his dagger, cut his wrist and stretched it over William's wide-open kiss. The bright red blood flowed from his wrist and fell into William's mouth. Under the eyes of the two men, the furious William gradually calmed down. Cavens took back his arm, pulled out a bandage and bound it with grass, and then he was absorbed in looking at William kneeling on the ground. Seeing that William no longer struggles, Chen-mo looses his hands and looks at William seriously with the same face. The perfect blood that falls into William's mouth is enough. Then it depends on his creation. If he still can't recover his reason, Chen-mo won't let him live. Death may be a better destination for him, and it's always a hidden danger. Alexander Corvina's also knows this, and he has no dissatisfaction with it. William has made too many killings for so many years. Even if Chen-mo directly killed him, it is the punishment he should receive. Now Chen-mo has given him a chance. No matter whether he succeeds or not, he should be grateful for Chen-mo's kindness. Under the eyes of the two men, William on the ground finally changed. The original tall body began to shrink slowly, and the protruding wolf kiss slowly shrank back. The long white hair on his body gradually became sparse. Soon, a tall white youth who was very similar to Marcus appeared in front of them. Alexander Corvina's calm face finally showed an excited look. William changed from werewolf to human, which shows that he has probably recovered human consciousness. Chen-mo is also very interested in watching William, who recovers the human form. He is very curious about what will become of William, who has been transformed by the perfect blood. Like Lucien in the movie, he can completely get rid of the wild animal's crazy instinct, change the form of werewolf freely, and keep the human consciousness all the time. Finally, William, kneeling on the ground, slowly stood up and looked up at the two men in front of him. At this time, there was no craziness and animality in his eyes, but only a blank and pure, just like a newborn baby. Ah-eh. Two meaningless syllables came out of his mouth. In his eyes, Chen-mo saw nothing but ignorance. Looking back at Corvina's, he was stunned and lost, but soon became relieved. Obviously, although the perfect blood eliminated William's bestiality and restored his human consciousness, the side effects of his previous transformation into a werewolf apparently wiped out all his consciousness. In addition to his life as a beast for hundreds of years, his memory as a human has been completely forgotten. Now, though he has regained consciousness, he is like a newborn baby. His brain is blank. I'm afraid his memory as a werewolf has been completely forgotten. However, compared with the worst result, Alexander Corvinus is now satisfied with this. Anyway, his son has finally become a human being and can continue to live. Without memory, it's better to say goodbye to the past and usher in new life. Chenmo has nothing to say about it. He asked Alexander Corvinus to take William back. Since then, little Selina has a younger brother who is much taller than her but needs her care and instruction. Selina, the only daughter in her family, is very happy about this. She is inseparable from William every day. She takes him everywhere, teaches him to talk and plays with him. She is really like a sister taking care of her younger brother. Chenmo is very funny. William also likes to stay with Selina. This big one and small two figures also become a special scenery in the castle. After the formal establishment of the empire, Chenmo began to implement the policy of recuperation and interest, and develop people's livelihood. Many civil technologies in the workshops began to be popularized nationwide under the promotion of the Royal Chamber of Commerce. With the promotion of new farm tools, water trucks, and new farming methods, the agriculture of the whole country has been greatly developed. Under the protection of Chenmo's tax relief policy, the people's living standard has been greatly improved, and they really have enough food and clothing. Without war, without hunger, without the threat of terrible werewolves, the whole society has become very harmonious and stable. The people live and work in peace and contentment, and the economy has begun to flourish. The Imperial Chamber of Commerce has opened a large number of factories all over the country. Textile factories, garment factories, soap factories, cement factories, brick and tile factories, steel factories, glass factories, sugar factories, salt farms, and so on. All kinds of factories are springing up in cities all over the country. Many women, the elderly, and other surplus labor force enter the factory. A large number of people's livelihood products are continuously manufactured from these factories, put into the market, enter the lives of thousands of households, improve the quality of people's life, and change people's lifestyle. The whole society has ushered in great changes. With the development of agriculture and production, the life of the people of the empire is improving day by day. Chapter 123. More and more people have put on exquisite and beautiful clothes with good quality and low price, and have lived in solid and warm brick and tile cement houses, mirrors, sugar, soap, glassware, which they did not dare to think of, which have also become the necessities they can afford. Everyone felt like they were dreaming. The change of life was too big and too fast for them to adapt for a while. However, they are very clear in their hearts, who brought them such a life as heaven, which was only dreamed in the past. It was their emperor, their god, who rescued them from hell and brought the heaven of their dreams to the world. While people are marveling and enjoying the change of life, they are more and more devout to Chenmo's faith. What is not a miracle? Chenmo's construction of people's livelihood goes far beyond this. In addition to the construction and development of a large number of people's livelihood industries, in order to facilitate the circulation of economic materials and improve transportation, Chenmo built large-scale roads throughout the country, while building water conservancy, ensuring agricultural irrigation, and developing water transport. In order to improve the cultural level of the whole people and cultivate talents in various industries, Chenmo built a large number of schools nationwide, popularized education, and gradually promoted the 9-year compulsory education system. Now the problem of food and clothing has already been solved. Young children no longer need to help their families to herd sheep and farm, and they can go to school to learn knowledge. However, the number of teachers is a big problem. In this era, only the aristocrats have the opportunity to read and learn. Ordinary civilians can't even fill their stomachs, so they have no mind or ability to learn. Fortunately, Chenmo did not kill the nobles when he conquered the European continent. As long as he was willing to surrender, Chen Mo ensured their personal and property safety. But without the income of the territory, a large number of noble families began to sit on the mountain. Although many capable nobles were reused by Chen Mo and arranged to different posts to help him manage the territory and deal with government affairs, many nobles began to have financial problems. At this time, Chen Mo pointed out a way for them to enter the school to become a teacher and teach children knowledge to earn wages. At this time, they had already lost their original noble titles, and they were begging for help to continue to put on the aristocratic airs. Many former aristocratic lords, wives, and young ladies stepped into the classroom, took up the whip, and embarked on the road of teaching. Agriculture, industry, economy, transportation, water conservancy, education ushered in great development, a variety of construction and production in full swing throughout the country. Beside Chen Mo, a huge city is being built a few kilometers away from Blackstone Castle. Chen Mo's first group of people had moved in and became the first residents of the capital. In the middle of this huge city, a tall and magnificent Gothic church built of reinforced concrete and brick and stone stands erect, which is the temple of the empire, where all the people of the empire believe. On the spacious and clean streets, people are dressed in exquisite and neat clothes, and their faces are filled with the divine colors of happiness and satisfaction. By the side of the road, a broad and square coach slowly stopped under the wooden bus stop sign. The people who arrived at the bus stop rushed out of the door behind the coach and went to their respective destinations. The people who got on the coach also got on the coach from the front door in an orderly line. This is obviously Chen Mo's idea. Public carriage like this can be seen everywhere in every street of the city, which greatly facilitates people's travel. In a huge square, many people walk among them. The old people sit on the benches and bask in the sun, while the children run and play happily in the square. Who can think that a few years ago, they were still hungry and worried about food? They were not fully clothed and could die in the mouth of werewolves. Since his accession to the throne, Chen Mo has spent 3 years building this originally chaotic and dark Europe into a stable and rich civilized society. The long and dark Middle Ages ended ahead of time, and Europe entered a new period of rapid development. He brought his territory and country into the right track, fulfilled his responsibilities as lord and king to his people, and experienced a lot of Chen Mo's preparation for national construction to leave. But before leaving, Chen Mo still has many things to arrange. This day, in the study, Chen Mo called the 4 Andrew to him. "I'm about to leave here." Looking at the 4 people standing in front of him, Chen Mo said slowly, "Master, are you going back to the kingdom of God?" Andrew asked at once. Chen Mo nodded softly and said in a deep voice, "When I leave, the empire needs a new emperor." Speaking of this, Chen Mo looks to Andrew, who is now the first. "Andrew, you have been with me for the longest time. You will take over the throne." When Andrew heard the words, he did not feel any emotion. Instead, he knelt down and said excitedly, "No, master. The empire will always be your empire, and I will always be your most loyal knight." Andrew was a pure warrior, a loyal knight, and it was hard for him to accept that he would replace his loyal master. Moreover, Andrew was not interested in the position of emperor. He was Chen Mo's first confidant. In the empire, he could be said to be more than 10,000 people. He knew the taste of holding power, but he was not infatuated with it. Compared with being immersed in complicated government affairs every day, he was more willing to fight with his cavalry brothers or take off his armor and his beloved together in the past. These are more attractive to him than the throne. He has had eternal life and everything he dreamed of. He has nothing to be satisfied with. Seeing Andrew's resolute attitude, Chen Mo gently shook his head and turned to look at Victor next to him. Before Chen Mo could speak, Victor knelt down. "Master, no one can replace your throne." Although Victor used to be a lord, he didn't have much ambition. Now his position is high enough for him. He can reach today's height and become a duke of a country which he never thought before. As for the emperor of the empire, only Chen Mo is the supreme existence in his mind, but he has no such qualification. Chen Mo has no choice but to look at Amelia again. "Master!" Amelia fell to her knees. Although she didn't say no directly, Chen Mo knew the answer from her face. In her eyes, the throne is not more attractive than her marquee castle. At last, Chen Mo looks at Marcus with a deep face. Under Chen Mo's inexplicable eyes, Marcus's heart tightens and he kneels down quickly. He looks down deeply and dare not speak. In the past, he might have longed for the supreme position, but now he has no such idea. Even if the throne representing the supreme power of the empire was placed in front of him, he did not dare to touch it at all, because it belonged to Chen Mo's throne. At the beginning, when he joined Chen Mo, he had some other thoughts. He wanted to seek higher rights and status with the help of Chen Mo's power. Now, he has realized his ambition. He has become the ruling class of the whole European continent, and one of the several people standing on the highest ground from the original aliens hiding everywhere. But his ambition has come to an end. He is satisfied with his present position, which belongs to Chen Mo's highest position. He dare not move his mind. The longer he stays under Chen Mo's command, the more he feels Chen Mo's unfathomability. At first, he doubted that Chen Mo was just a powerful human being, but with more and more understanding of Chen Mo, he found that Chen Mo was full of countless mysteries, and his miracles could not be explained by common sense. He seems to be omniscient and omnipotent, not only with powerful and incomparable strength, but also with numerous advanced technologies and knowledge and ideas beyond this era. These things awe Marcus even more than his strength. Because power may be acquired through variation like him, but knowledge cannot. There is only one way to explain it. Chen Merchant is the god who came from heaven to the world. The identity of Chen Mo has been confirmed in his heart, and Marcus's fear and reverence for Chen Mo have been deepened day by day. He only dare to revere and worship Chen Mo's throne, but dare not go up by himself. How can the throne of God be touched by ordinary people? Just a moment ago, he had figured out clearly that he dared not sit in that position. Instead of fearlessly seeking for rights that did not belong to him, he would be as honest as the duke of his empire and the blood elder. Marcus's mind can't escape Chen's perception. Marcus, who is kneeling on the ground, doesn't know that he just walked away from the ghost gate. If he didn't put his position in a wise way and put down his covet for the imperial throne, now he should have been killed by Chen's sword. Chen Mo is always reluctant to join in the pursuit of Alexander Corvinus, the ruthless and ambitious ancestor of the vampire in this movie. Instead, he is sent to the eastern battlefield to conquer the Eastern European territory for him. The knights under him were all loyal to Chen Mo, unlike Andrew, Victor, and Amelia, who had their own core subordinates. The knights who followed him only accepted his command in wartime. Once the war ended, he returned to the state of being alone and could not transfer any knights at will. Therefore, Marcus is the least powerful of the 4 vampire elders. After all, although he is loyal to Chen Mo, he is still more awed. In terms of the degree of piety, he is much lower than other knights, let alone the 3 most firmly believed Andrew. He didn't even know his father Alexander Corvinus was in the castle. Of all the vampires, only Andrew, Amelia, and Victor have gained enough perfect blood and strength. Chapter 124. In addition to Chen Mo and Alexander Corvinus, the strength of the 4 is the strongest in the world, but also in the ancestor of vampires, who lived hundreds of years on Marcus. Like all other knights, Marcus received only 1 drop of perfect blood to remove the defect of vampire, and he did not know the origin of this drop of blood, always thought it was a gift of Chen Mo. Before, Chen Mo didn't mind Marcus' ambition, because as long as he was there, Marcus would never betray him. Many people have ambitions. As long as they are not rebellious, Chen Mo allows them to have ambitions to rule the human race. Yes, he has now realized that as one of the 4 great dukes of the empire, Marcus has stood at the top of the pyramid of rights. But now that Chen Mo is about to leave, he will not leave any hidden danger to his empire. If Marcus shows a little desire for the throne, Chen Mo will not let him out of this room alive. Fortunately, Marcus was not blinded by the desire for power. He knew that the throne of God could not be touched by him. Since that, Chen Mo didn't mind letting him continue to be his imperial duke and blood elder. After all, Chen Mo's vampiric knights were all organized with his help. Marcus has made great contributions to the establishment of this huge empire. As for whether Chen Mo will think again after he leaves, Chen Mo is not worried. First of all, he dare not arrogate now. What he fears is Chen Mo's god status. Even if Chen Mo leaves, he is still the god of the empire. The deterrent effect will not be reduced at all, but will become a high sword, reminding him that a real god is watching his every move in the sky. And even if he had any real thoughts with Andrew, Amelia, and Victor, he would never be able to turn up any waves. In the movie, Victor has been steadily suppressing Marcus, the ancestor of the vampire, and firmly holding the power of the vampire empire. Because most of the vampires are the subordinates of Victor and Amelia, who used to be lords. Marcus had the name of the ancestor of the vampire, but he was alone. He could not command many vampires at all. Now, Andrew and Victor, whether in strength or power, are steadily suppressing Marcus. Chen Mo believes they will take him seriously. Taking back his eyes from Marcus, Chen Mo was in a bit of a dilemma for a while. Originally, he wanted Andrew to take over the empire. He followed Chen Mo the longest, the oldest, and the most powerful. The first 100-member cavalry was established and trained by him. In addition to the 4 dukes, the 8 marquises with the highest titles also lived with him in the werewolf village until the end. Under his leadership, they defended the stone house to resist the werewolf. At last, 8 of them were saved by Chen Mo. They were also the 8 captains of the first 100 knights, now silver knights. Although their status is not as good as that of aristocratic lords, and they are good at commanding, and they are Victor and Amelia, the 3 elders of vampire in the movie, they are only under them. As for their prestige and appeal in the Knights of the Temple, the 8 of them are still above Marcus. As Andrew's first companions and subordinates, they are brothers who can commit their lives to each other. They absolutely support and obey Andrew. With the help of 8 of them and Amelia, Andrew would have no problem taking over the empire, so to speak. He is the best choice at present. Of course, most importantly, Andrew's absolute loyalty to Chen Mo. Although all the Knights of the Temple were loyal to Chen Mo, including Marcus, their loyalty was different. Even the believers of God have different levels of faith. Marcus belongs to the belief of worshiping gods, but he still considers his gain and loss, not dedicates himself to God. He will not betray God, but he will not give up all of his own, even life, and follow him without hesitation. But Andrew's, Amelia's, and Victor's, the 8 marquises and the original order of 100, and even the rest of the knights who had been strictly selected to join later, would firmly follow Chen Mo. As long as Chen Mo orders, even if he wants to go to a strange place full of difficulties, dangers, and challenges, where the enemy is more powerful than them, to start from scratch and continue to fight, they will still not hesitate to give up their present titles, territories, rights, and wealth, and follow him without hesitation. Because their loyalty and belief to Chen Mo have surpassed their own lives, and Andrew is undoubtedly the most loyal and firm one among them. Even if Chen Mo comes back thousands of years later, he will return the throne without hesitation. Status, power, wealth, beauty, nothing can corrode Andrew's steadfast loyalty to Chen Mo's steel. So Andrew is the best man to take over the throne. But this time Chen Mo was miscalculated. He never thought that Andrew was too devout to accept the position of emperor in front of him. However, it can also be understood that for a devout and faithful believer, even if the god in the temple leaves his throne, he can never have the idea of sitting on it. For him, it is a blasphemy to the god, and he cannot allow himself to do blasphemy. The best person he expected, however, was too loyal to accept, which made Chen Mo unexpected. Just when Chen Mo had some headache, there was a sudden laughter like a silver bell in his ear. Chen Mo could not help but smile and walk to the window. Through the glass window, Chen Mo looked down, only to see a vacant lot not far below. Serena and William were chasing and playing together. The tall and strong William was chased around by the little Selina, who only came to his waist, wearing the snow-white princess skirt, and the little and lovely Selina followed him with open teeth and claws, giggling happily. After being seduced by Chen Mo later with a big bag of candy, holding his nose and drinking a test tube of perfect blood from Chen Mo, little Selina's body has also been strengthened, regardless of her small body, but her strength and speed are amazing. Because the body is not fully developed, her strength is not particularly terrible, which is slightly better than ordinary vampires, about 3 times more than ordinary people. But in terms of speed, little Selina is comparable to William, the ancestor of werewolf, and even the petite Selina is more flexible than the tall William. No matter how hard he ran, he could not get rid of Selina, who was closely behind his buttocks. Finally, William was careless and could not escape. Selina grabbed the clothes and had to stop running in frustration. Selina proudly held out her small hand to William, who slowly took out a piece of candy from his pocket and handed it to the happy little Selina. Selina grabbed the candy from William's hand and carefully put it into her pocket. She was very happy and her big eyes were all curved into crescent. Chen Mo stood in front of the window, looking down at Serena, who had won a piece of candy and giggled happily. A smile slowly came up from the corner of her mouth. Located in the center of the imperial capital, it is more suitable to have a large and magnificent Gothic architecture complex, or palace. It is composed of many tall and majestic buildings. Surrounded by many churches, bell towers, palaces, and towers, the most central one is a giant palace which is bigger and more magnificent than all the buildings around. This is the god that belongs to all the people of the empire, their Emperor Chen Mo's Thunder Temple. The main body of the temple, except for the reinforced concrete beam column skeleton, is made of black stone, which is as hard as Blackstone Castle. 2 rows of dozens of 100-meter-high black huge stone columns support the whole hall. The internal space of the temple is extremely wide and tall, which makes people feel their own insignificance deeply. On the high walls around, huge reliefs are carved, recording the whole process of Chen Mo's leading knights to kill werewolves and conquer Europe. The whole shrine is deep and solemn. It's awe-inspiring to be in it, and the expression becomes solemn. Although the whole temple is mainly black, it is not too dark in the main hall. Above the dome of the main hall and the tall walls around it, there are dozens of wide glass windows, through which the sun outside spreads from the top of the high temple to the whole hall. At the top of the hall, dozens of broad black stone steps connect a broad platform. A tall and majestic black throne is located in the center of the platform, which is Chen Mo's god throne. Since it was built, the gate of the temple has been closed, and no one has been able to enter the temple, but today it is very different. At this time, in this magnificent hall, hundreds of knights in silver armor, with 9 dragon badges engraved on their chests, were standing neatly on the right side under the throne. On the other side, there are hundreds of nobles with gorgeous clothes and elegant temperament standing respectfully. They are the city leaders, governors, and chief administrative officials of all departments of the empire. They are the outstanding people Chen Mo has chosen from the numerous nobles he has joined. They manage the vast territory of the empire and deal with various government affairs for him. The noon sun from the top of the huge glass window in this vast and towering hall projected dozens of golden huge pillars. That bright golden pillars to the black hall add a holy and magnificent. Chen Maoduan sat on the high platform, leaning back on the throne, quietly overlooking thousands of subjects below. In the magnificent temple in the middle of the imperial capital, hundreds of knights in heavy armor, almost the same number of nobles in expensive robes, stood under the platform in order. Chapter 125. The two sides add up to a huge array of thousands of people, occupying only a small area in this huge and magnificent temple. Hundreds of meters high, several people embrace the huge stone pillars, occupying the whole wall. Even if they lift their heads hard, they can't see the huge reliefs in full view. There are also huge stone platforms built of black stone in front of them, 10 meters high, nearly 100 meters wide, connected by dozens of wide steps which make thousands of people feel their own insignificance. In front of Chen Mo, who lives high in the seat of God, they feel like ants, humble and small. After all, the seat of God is the real God, and they're just a bunch of mortals. Chen Mo summoned all the ministers in the temple that he had never visited since it was built. Looking at the people standing in silence, Chen Mo on the seat of God spoke slowly with a deep memory. I have been in this world for 8 years. Chen Mo's majestic voice sounded in the temple. Thousands of people standing under the hall could hear every word he said clearly. Now that the werewolves are gone and the mainland is unified, my people live in peace. I too should go back. All the people below listened to Chen Mo's words, which were originally full of recollection and reverence. At the end of the day, Chen Mo said he was going to leave. All of them were shocked. Master, Your Majesty. Chen Mo is their faith, their loyal master, who has been leading them forward and guiding them. Now he suddenly says that he wants to leave, which makes the following people at a loss, falling into an incomparable panic and confusion. Chen Mo's eyebrows wrinkled slightly when he saw it. He raised his right hand and gently pressed it. All the confused people at the bottom suddenly calmed down. They looked at Chen Mo, their god, their emperor who was about to leave them. However, some people also slowly reflected that their emperor was not an ordinary person, but a real god from heaven, and could not stay in the world all the time. Now the whole continent of Europe has been unified. The werewolves have been eliminated. Wars, hunger, and poverty have become the past. The days of hardship and uncertainty are gone. God has saved his people from despair and brought them a stable and rich life. It's time to return to heaven. After all, that's God's kingdom. Without caring for the people below, Chen Mo raised his head and looked at the gate opposite the hall. Selina. Chen Mo's voice is majestic and grand. With Chen Mo's voice falling, the gate of the main hall suddenly opened, and the dazzling light came in from the outside. The whole gate was like a golden light gate, bright and holy. Under the gaze of thousands of people in the hall, a small figure slowly walked out of the holy light. Selina was wearing a holy and elegant white dress, with soft, long blonde hair behind her head. She walked slowly towards the crowd with light steps. The 2 rows of huge stone pillars in the middle of the hall form a wide passage. Selina's small figure crosses the rows of stone pillars, passes between the knights and officials, and comes under the stone platform. People on both sides looked at Selina with a puzzled face. They did not understand what Chen Mo called her to do. Only standing under the platform, the 4 Andrew in front of the crowd, calmly looking at a small face, walked past them and was climbing to the platform. There was no surprise on her face. Selina, with her skirt in her small hand, stepped up the platform step by step and came to Chen Mo. Looking at the small and beautiful Serena in front of her, Chen Mo's majestic face showed a kind look, rose slowly from the seat of God and stroked her right hand on Serena's small head. In the confused eyes of the people below, Chen Mo's low and dignified voice slowly sounded. In my name, Selina is now canonized as the goddess of the temple, the ruler of the temple, and the apostle on earth. Hearing Chen Mo's canonization, the people who had just returned from the shock of Chen Mo's leaving were not too surprised. Before that, Chen Mo was not very interested in the temple and belief. This temple was built under the auspices of Andrew and others. Now that Chen Mo is about to leave, it is reasonable for him to choose a devout believer as a saint and spread his faith. But next, what Chen Mo said made them lose their color. The throne of the empire is in the charge of the saint. Now Selena is crowned the empress of the empire. With the majestic voice echoing in the hall, Chen Mo raised his hands and took out a beautiful crown inlaid with diamonds from the empty air, and gently put it on Selena's head. A group of city leaders and officials looked at Serena, who was crowned by Chen Mo, and many people's eyes flashed with light that meant it was hard to see. Originally, under Chen Mo, they were very afraid of the emperor who was as strong as the gods and defeated them. They dared not have any idea that they should not have. Chen Mo's later titles of nobility were not high according to their achievements, and they had no right to enlist soldiers, so they were honest and reassured to serve Chen Mo. But now Chen murmured that he was about to leave, and passed the throne to a little girl in her teens, which made many people who were just afraid of Chen Mo's power have different ideas. They are willing to submit to Chen Mo. Although many people do not believe in Chen Mo's identity, they do not affect their fear and obedience to Chen Mo at all. But a teenage girl who wants to be their queen can't let them willingly obey and give up their loyalty like Chen Mo. When many people's eyes flickered, Andrew, Victor, Amelia, and Marcus, who were at the front of the line, fell to the ground on one knee just as Chen Mo's voice fell, shouting, "Long live your majesty!" After them, hundreds of temple knights have no doubt about Chen Mo's decision. Now Selena is honored by Chen Mo as temple saint and imperial empress, who is the one they need to protect and obey. Whoa, wow! Following Andrew and others, hundreds of powerful knights in heavy armor fell to their knees and shouted, "Long live your holiness! Long live your majesty!" The deafening voice reverberated in the whole hall, and the noble officials who were standing there were throbbing in their hearts. It seemed that their breathing became difficult. Many nobles with different thoughts looked at the tall, powerful knights in the temple opposite, and wisely wiped out the ideas that just appeared in their minds. With the loyalty to Chen Mo, he defeated the whole European continent, invincible and invincible, and the assistance of the 4 dukes who controlled most of the power of the empire. No one could shake the position of the little girl's empress who did not know where she came from. In this case, why do they have to fight with eggs to destroy themselves? In fact, they are very satisfied with their current life. More rights are not available to them. So, after a group of temple knights, the city leaders and officials who were in charge of administrative affairs all over the empire fell to their knees and shouted, "Long live your majesty!" Chen Mo's performance is all in his eyes. He doesn't pay attention or worry about the city leaders and officials. No matter how powerful they used to be as earls, marquises, or dukes, now they are just ordinary administrative officials who can manage the local affairs for Chen Mo. Among them, now the highest rank is only a viscount. Many of them don't even have a single rank, which is totally awarded by Chen Mo according to their achievements and performance. Chen Mo doesn't mind giving them higher titles or even turning them into vampires. Unfortunately, none of them are so good or loyal except Victor. But now they are needed to help manage this huge empire, and Chen Mo doesn't care about their loyalty. After all, even if they want to rebel, they need to have enough strength, but obviously they do not have the strength to threaten the empire. They have no access to military power. Administrative power is also checked and controlled by each other. Even if they want to use their power to make a mess, it is very difficult. So their only choice is to do their job well, accumulate their achievements, and get higher rewards. Money, titles, and fiefdoms are the real things they can seek. At the same time, Chen Mo has made other arrangements for this. The war is over, and loyal knights of the temple order no longer need to fight to kill enemies. In these 3 years, in addition to training the new army, they have been learning cultural knowledge and cultivating administrative ability under Chen Mo's arrangement. After all, most of them have no management place, experience in dealing with government affairs, and even many people don't know a word. But for vampires, the most important thing is time. They have enough time to study slowly and grow up to bear the burden of the lord of a city. Then, they will replace these officials and take charge of the whole empire. These officials will get corresponding rewards according to their performance, return to their manor, enjoy their retirement life, or become a new vampire, and really join the ranks of empire rulers. It is up to them to choose whether to die in a gorgeous bed or to live forever with a scepter. Wearing the crown, Chen Mo turns around and takes Serena to the throne. Chapter 126. Looking at Serena, who is wearing a bright crown and more noble and beautiful, Chen Mo pinches her little face, turns around in Serena's angry eyes and faces thousands of subjects below. Chen Mo, dressed in a black robe, stands tall on the platform, with his deep and dignified eyes crossing the people's faces. Andrew, Victor, Amelia, Marcus, although separated by tens of meters, but in Chen Mo's deep eyes, all people feel that they seem to have been completely penetrated. Standing on the high black stone platform, Chen Mo looks down and slowly raises his eyes, strides over the crowd, along the passage surrounded by huge stone pillars, and looks forward to the vast and prosperous city in the distance through the open temple gate, with a satisfied look on his face. "It's time to leave." Take back his eyes, Chen Mo said slowly and solemnly. "I will be back in 1,000 years." Chen Mo's majestic voice still reverberated in the hall, but his figure disappeared on the platform with a white light under the gaze of thousands of people below. "Master! Your Majesty! My God!" Seeing Chen Mo disappear in the white light, no one doubts the fact that Chen Mo is a god. Although he left, all people became more devout to him. The gods in the kingdom of God are more awed and invisible than the emperor sitting on the throne, but they clearly know his existence. They look down on all living beings in that kingdom of heaven. After Chen Mo's disappearance, only Selena's small figure sits on the throne on the broad platform made of black stone. The holy white became the only light in the darkness. God has gone, and she will take his place and lead them on. At this moment, no one doubted Chen Mo's decision. No one cared about her young age. All of them knelt down and shouted devoutly, "Your Majesty." Sitting on the seat of God, Serena looked at the people kneeling down. Her face was majestic, her face was on the floor, her crown was shining on her head, and her white dress was white. She was very dignified and holy. With the shock and infection of the miracle that Chen Magang just showed, a deep awe was born in the hearts of the people kneeling down. She was deeply awed by the god himself, the coronation of the queen, but also a deep respect and recognition. But no one found out. On the high platform, Queen Selena, who was sitting on the throne with dignity, had a small linen bag in her hand. I don't know when it was added. While no one noticed below, Selena quietly pinched the cloth bag with her small hand, and there was a flash of excitement in her eyes. A lot of sugar. That's right. Serena was bought by Chen Mo with a bag of sweets, so she put on her long skirt and came here to play the game of canonization. Who would have thought that little Selena had become the empress of a vast empire just to get a bag of candy? Chen Mo's saint, empress, and Selena, who left anything, didn't pay attention or understand at all. At this time, her eyes were full of candy. Chen Mo's sudden disappearance was also regarded by Selena as a game of hide and seek with her. In her heart, she also exclaimed that the Lord was so powerful that he could disappear suddenly. He must have been hiding somewhere to see if little Selena could find him. He knew that Selena liked to play hide and seek. It wasn't until she searched the whole palace and castle, but found that Chen Mo could not be found anywhere, that Selina understood that Chen Mo had gone. Amelia, for the first time, they saw the innocent and optimistic little Selina crying so sad that she threw the bag of her favorite candy Chen Mo gave her to the ground. Woo, woo, woo. Lord deceives. It said that playing games will suddenly disappear. Liar, I will never eat sugar again. Wow. The naive little Selina blamed the disappearance of Chen Mo on her greedy for candy. In her opinion, if she doesn't want candy or play this game, the Lord won't go. She did not know why Chen Mo left. Chen Mo was their Lord and King. How could he leave his people alone? In her young heart, there was no concept of separation at all. Chen Mo would come back every time he left. But this time he seemed to leave for a long time. Aunt Amelia said it would take 1,000 years. Selina was only 10 years old and 100 Selina. Selina grabs her little finger. She can't count how long it will take. In short, it's a long time. Chen Mo's position in Selina's heart is very special. From her memory, she lived in the workshop with her parents and grandparents. From the mouths of her family and people around her, she knew that they had a great Lord like God. He is the most powerful knight in the world. He can kill dozens of horrible and brutal werewolves by himself. It is with his protection that they can live such a happy and stable life, and she can play every day without worrying about being eaten by the terrible werewolves, so that she can have enough clothes and food, without being frozen or hungry. At the same time, their Lord is extremely wise, his knowledge is as profound as the sea, his thoughts are as high as the sky. All kinds of unheard of and magical things are constantly emerging in his hands, showing them one miracle after another. In their mouths, their Lord is tall, handsome, brave, and powerful. He is wearing armor, holding a sharp sword, riding a tall black horse, leading his powerful knights to eliminate the werewolf and fight around. No lord can stop him. He was invincible. One powerful lord was defeated by him, and one vast territory was conquered by him. In the eyes of little Selina, Chen Mo is the greatest hero in the world and the idol she adored since childhood. Later, the idol really stood in front of her. When she learned that the majestic knight who was talking with her grandfather was their legendary lord, little Selina's heart pounded with excitement. But she didn't dare to rush forward, so she could only stand and stare at her big eyes. Lord is so tall and strong. He rode so high and so big. He almost stepped on Serena. He is a bad horse. I thought it would be very lucky to see Lord once. Who would have thought that Lord brought her to the castle to teach her swordsmanship and knowledge? Although Amelia is teaching her most of the time, Chen Mo will teach her in person as long as she has time, especially in her math class. Most of them are taught by Chen Mo. Although she has a headache about that pile of numbers, this is still her happiest moment. She will pay special attention every time. Chen Mo's praise can make her happy all day. Slowly, with the contact with Chen Mo for a long time, Selina also slowly put down the fear of Chen Mo. She found that Chen Mo was not as high as she imagined. She could feel Chen Mo's love for her, and she gradually regarded Chen Mo as her brother, who would be coquettish to Chen Mo, and sometimes she would make trouble when she was not happy. Chen Mo, like her father and brother, usually pampers her and teaches her harshly. When she does well, she praises her and rewards her. When she makes mistakes, she criticizes her. If she makes too many mistakes, Chen Mo will beat her ass hard. Although she cried and was angry with Chen Mo every time, Chen Mo would hold her in her arms, rub her small head, dry her tears, and then take out a piece of candy and put it into her mouth. Lying in Chen Mo's arms, feeling Chen Mo's wide, warm hands gently rubbing her hair, stroking her small face, eating sweet sweets in her mouth, listening to Chen Mo's whispering sermons. She always swallows and arches into Chen Mo's arms, finding a comfortable position to fall asleep with tears in Chen Mo's arms. When she wakes up, she can no longer bear Chen Mo's anger. Now Chen Mo, a family member who has been with her all the time and has become a part of her life, suddenly leaves, which makes little Selena hard to accept. Fortunately, he is not gone forever. He said that in 1,000 years he will come back. It's just that Serena will have grown up and become as tall as Aunt Amelia. Can't she sleep in his arms? Selena doesn't want to grow up. In a word, Chenmo finally left. Selena's position as queen was firmly supported by Andrew, Victor, and other temple knights. Although Selena wanted to learn to manage the empire, she still reserved enough time to play under the instructions left by Chenmo. Chenmo doesn't want her childhood to be filled with redundant political affairs. She is still young and has a long life. With Andrew and their help, let her play and spend his childhood happily. After all, compared with the long life of vampires, their childhood is too short and precious. So even though she became the empress of the empire, Selena still had a lot of time to play around with William every day, and she was also fascinated by horseback riding. Chenmo's black steed, which was strengthened by serum, tall and vigorous, became her steed. She also gave the steed a name, Thunder. Every day she would ride on it for a while, as if on horseback she could find Chenmo's shadow. The bag of sweets that Chenmo left to her finally was carefully put away by her, but she never ate one again. Alexander Kovinas, who was almost drafted by Chenmo at the beginning, took over the Imperial Intelligence Department under Chenmo's appointment and completely hid in the dark. Only Andrew, Amelia, and Victor knew his existence. In the future, he will be directly responsible to the Queen. Of course, before Selena reaches adulthood, all things will be managed by Andrew. Under the interference of Chenmo, the world of Night Legend is developing in a completely new direction. What will it look like thousands of years later? After 8 years in the world of Night Legend, Chenmo left. Chapter 127. It left behind a powerful empire that ruled the whole of Europe, and a brand new bloodline that was immortal without fear of the sun and relying on blood. In fact, there is also a very powerful ability in the world. That is, vampires can get their memories by sucking blood from others, but Chenmo has given up this powerful ability. Because this ability is exclusive to vampires, which is related to their blood-sucking ability. Chenmo can only transform himself into a vampire if he wants to acquire this ability to get memories from the blood. Although he has perfect blood and has no sequelae, Chenmo is not willing to turn himself into a vampire. According to the experiment on Andrew and others, even after the transformation of perfect blood, the hidden dangers of vampires' fear of sunlight and dependence on blood were eliminated. But many of their vampire characteristics did not disappear, such as blue eyes, long and sharp canine teeth, and the ability of echolocation. Chenmo did not want to change his race and appearance for such a memory-reading ability. While the perfect blood relieves the vampire's dependence on the blood, it does not eliminate the ability to draw memory from the blood. According to Chenmo's experiment and speculation, this ability depends on the vampire's special absorption way of the blood. Their bodies can extract the memory information hidden in the blood and reproduce it in their minds. The function of perfect blood is evolution. Although it has eliminated their dependence on blood, changed their sense of smell and taste, and restored them to the normal human state, it has not changed their ability to absorb blood. This is also the reason why some Andrew people can continue to strengthen by drinking the perfect blood even though they no longer like the taste of blood after drinking a drop of perfect blood. They don't need to strengthen by injecting the perfect blood directly into the blood vessels like Chenmo. In addition, this ability to read and remember from the blood has great limitations. Only very fresh blood can extract information from it. Once leaving the body or the object dies, the information in the blood will dissipate rapidly. This time is very short, only a few seconds, so it can only be used by directly sucking blood on living people. In other ways, as long as there is a little delay, the information in the blood will be quickly lost, and the acquired memory will become very scattered and incomplete, or even completely disappear. Chen Mo doesn't want to lie on others like a monster and drink blood, and the temptation of Chen Mo's ability is not big. Many things can be inferred from each other's heartbeat, looks, subtle movements, and rich psychological knowledge through his keen perception. Even some complicated information can be easily obtained by Chen Mo through interrogation, or even without torture. Chen Mo can tell the truth and falseness of his answer very accurately. Ask more times, plus the exclusion method, nothing can hide him. Although it's more troublesome, it works. So this seems powerful and attractive, but it needs to pay a certain price, and for Chen Mo there are some weak abilities. Chen Mo does not hesitate to give up. It is also worth mentioning that Selena, our new empress of the empire, came out of Chen Mo's sadness and entered into the mode of faint monarch. She thought that no one could control Chen Mo after she left. She led her former royal bodyguard, William, to play around all day long and threw the management of the empire to the fore Andrew. Chen Mo arranged for her there are not many cultural courses. Andrew and Amelia were not able to love Serena before. Apart from Chen Mo, who would rather beat her, let alone now, she is also the empress of the empire. Amelia and them have no way to deal with this little faint monarch. Seeing the situation becoming more and more serious, little Selena rode all day, practiced sword and wielded knives and sticks, which seemed to be a trend towards a violent queen, but they could not control their majesty at all. Fortunately, Chen Mo knows nothing about this little girl's temperament. It was expected that Chen Mo's guide to the cultivation of the queen would be opened, and they finally found a solution. When Andrew and Bert came back from the Royal Academy of Sciences, a long time ago, the sound of snap and clear and loud cry resounded throughout the Blackstone Castle. After that day, Selena finally stopped acting arbitrarily and began to learn to be a qualified queen while playing. However, her yearning for Chen Mo is deeper. The Lord won't be so fierce. She will beat Serena so hard and comfort her tenderly after that. She won't be alone and cry, "I miss the Lord's warm embrace." Poor little Selena, beaten up by his blacksmith father, has not been able to ride for several days. After Chen Mo unified Europe and became emperor after the founding of the People's Republic of China, Selena's father Bert and grandfather Cain were still in charge of the workshop. Of course, now it has a new name, the Royal Academy of Sciences. From an ordinary craftsman, Old Cairn has become the president of the Royal Academy of Sciences and a member of the consanguineous parliament. His old body has become strong and full of vitality, and has a long and eternal life. What he couldn't believe was that his 10-year-old granddaughter had become the empress of the empire, from the daughter of an ordinary craftsman to the most honorable empress to rule the vast empire. And all of this is Chen Mo's gift. In addition to infinite gratitude and respect, what he can do is to strive to do his job well, lead the Royal Academy of Sciences to develop continuously, and give him enough time to learn the knowledge and technology left by Chen Mo, and on this basis, to develop and innovate constantly. When she heard that Selena was only playing and disobeyed the instructions left by Chen Mo, the angry old Cain immediately sent the Empress's father to the castle. She felt that Selena had failed Chen Mo's trust and expectation. The old Cain had only one word for her son's order and beat me hard. The queen's father beat Serena back to the right track. The huge empire created by Chen Mo will continue to develop under the leadership of Serena. What will the future world look like? Maybe it will be known when Chen Mo returns next time. On the other hand, Chen Mo returned to the desert island which had been far away for many years in a white light. Looking at the familiar trees around me, I heard waves washing the beach and crashing rocks. What I smelled at the tip of my nose was a mixture of the smell of soil and grass, and the faint fishy smell brought by the sea breeze. Chen Mo slowly closed his eyes, and his majestic momentum converged like a spirit. In the world of Knight legend, he is the Lord, the King, the Emperor who rules the whole continent of Europe, and the god believed by all the people. But in the real world, he is a survivor of killing, escaping and living on a desert island. Fortunately, he has a strong power and the ability to travel through time and space. Chen Mo will not think that he can do anything in the real world because he has conquered everything in the movie world and ascended to the throne. He clearly knows where his power is in the real world. Even his powerful and incomparable order of knights of the temple, which conquered the whole Europe, is not the opponent of the mechanized human forces in the real world. Even though ordinary bullets can't kill them, sniper guns, artillery, tanks, explosives, missiles, flamethrowers, there are countless ways for human beings to turn the invincible knights in the Middle Ages into ashes. So Chen Mo will not be dazzled by the achievements in the movie world. He really takes himself as a god and thinks that he can fight against the whole world. This is his hometown where he was born, grew up and lived. There are no enemies and monsters here, but there are his family and compatriots here. This is his root. No matter how many years he spent there, he still has to go back to the real world. This is his home. In the world of film, he can do whatever he wants, because even if he messes up, he can leave at any time, but not in the real world. From one movie world, we can't go through the next movie world directly. If you leave the movie world, you can only go back to the real world. Only after the past month in the real world can you continue to cross. If you mess up the real world and have to hide in the movie world, you can't go through it anymore. So he has always been cautious about the development of the real world. If he fails in the movie world, he can go away. But the real world can't, unless he gives up the ability to shuttle countless spaces and always hides in the next movie space. But there are his parents and relatives in the real world. He can't leave them behind and hide in other world forever. However, although the real world is extremely important, it is not too dangerous. The country's military power is powerful enough to threaten Chen Mo, but this is not a dangerous movie world. As long as Chen Mo doesn't take the initiative to cause trouble and hide his own particularity, no one will take the initiative to provoke him. The world as a whole is peaceful and stable. There is no large-scale war, no werewolf, no vampire, and no powerful enemy for him. Although there were some hidden dangers left by the previous killing, Chen Mo's body and temperament have changed greatly. As long as he doesn't show up in front of the people he knows, no one will connect him with Chen Mo. Even if he appears in front of the police investigating and arresting him now, they will only think that they are a little like each other, and they will not think that this is a person at all. As long as you leave the desert island, you can start all over again. Today's Chen Mo has undergone great changes in appearance and temperament after serum strengthening and 2 world experiences. Even if he appears in front of the police who arrested him, no one will believe that he is Chen Mo. Chapter 128. After all, there are many people who look alike in the world. It's no surprise to meet someone with similar facial features, but it's hard for people living in the real world to believe that a person's height, body shape, temperament, and prestige change greatly in a few months. Even if it is cosmetic surgery, heightening cannot be done in such a short time. Therefore, as long as Chen Mo leaves the island, he can show his true face without any scruples, because he will be another person at that time, and has nothing to do with Chen Mo who killed and absconded. But not on this island. After all, the passengers on the plane are all recorded. Chen Mo does not show his face, and no one will associate him with Chen Mo who is tall and strong. No matter how the police suspect him in the future, they will only regard him as other survivors of similar size or even as an outsider like a passing pirate. Once he is seen by others and compared with the passengers on the plane, it is easy to doubt him. However, such abnormal changes in him in a short period of time will surely attract the attention of the state. At that time, he will be in real trouble, and even his secret is likely to be discovered. In fact, Chen Mo could appear in front of the survivors as early as he came back from Captain America, but he needed to wear a helmet all the time to block his face. Before, Chen Mo was hiding in the woods alone because he didn't want to cover his face all day long and didn't appear in front of others. He can wear beach trousers and short-sleeved t-shirt at will and enjoy the island holiday full of sunshine and beach. Why do he get so tired? Chen Mo, who had just returned from the legend world of the night, stood still with his eyes closed. His majestic and heavy momentum converged slowly. After a while, he finally opened his eyes again. In the bright and dark eyes, the sharp light flashed away. At this time, compared with the time when Chen Mo just returned, the whole person became introverted, much gentler, and the sharp eyes became deep and quiet, just like a peerless sword, which was inserted into the scabbard, and the sharp eyes turned away but still gave a sense of mystery that was unpredictable and impossible to ponder. In his eyes as deep as a black hole, it seemed to hide a whole world. This time in the world of the legend of the night, Chen Mo can be said to have gained a lot. Although the improvement of his physical strength is not great, but from 6 times the physical quality of ordinary people to 7 times, his fighting skills, especially swordsmanship, have been greatly improved. After all, a powerful man who has been fighting with powerful werewolves for hundreds of years is extremely powerful in fighting skills and experience. Relying on his strong ability of memory, analysis, and learning, Chen Mo absorbed the accumulation of hundreds of years as his own use, which greatly improved his combat effectiveness. At the same time, Chen Mo has been improving his slow mental strength in many years of continuous battles and battles with countless werewolves, and also has been growing slowly, especially with Alexander Corvina's. In addition to greatly improving his fighting skills, his mental strength has also been rapidly improved under great pressure. Now, the space in his mind has expanded from the original side length of 3 meters and 27 cubic meters to a huge cube with a side length of 5 meters. The internal space is enough to be 125 cubic meters. Not only can it accommodate many times more than the original, but also many things that were originally limited to size and could not be carried. Now it can also be included in the space. In terms of means of transportation, the space used to accommodate a few motorcycles at most. A car that is 4 or 5 meters long can't fit at all, let alone his 6-wheel bulletproof armored cross-country sports car that is more than 7 meters long. Now, although it still can't fit the monster, a general cross-country vehicle can fit several. With Chen Mo's continuous shuttling and honing, his spiritual strength continues to grow, and the growth rate of space is far faster than Chen Mo's improvement in physical quality and combat skills. This first appeared, the space ability, which was originally like a chicken rib, began to emerge slowly and will play an increasingly important role in the future. In addition to these, Chen Mo's greatest harvest in the night legend world should be considered as the perfect blood. It makes Chen Mo's body evolve into immortal body, makes him have immortal life, and completely solves the problem of accelerated consumption of life that Chen Mo is facing in the movie world. With infinite life, there will be enough time, which makes Chen Mo completely invincible. He doesn't have to rush to get strength and leave as soon as possible. He just needs to develop step by step. If he wants to, he can even stay in the world of night legend, waiting for his strength to gradually improve in the long years. However, since then, the time required will be calculated in 100 years, which is too slow. In reality, there are many things waiting for Chen Mo. He does not have the patience to wait for hundreds of years. In addition, the perfect blood also makes Chen Mo's body have unlimited potential, completely breaking the bottleneck of power, so that Chen Mo can continuously become stronger and have unlimited possibilities in the future. Because the technology of the Night Legend world is too backward, many things have not been studied in depth. But Chen Mo can be sure that his immortal body and the perfect blood flowing in his blood vessels must have more potential and secrets to explore. After adjusting his mind and summing up the harvest of the Night Legend world, Chen Mo returned to his spacious tent with great satisfaction. Take off the gorgeous black robe, Chen Mo put on loose beach pants and short-sleeved t-shirt and walked out easily. When he came to the hammock tied between two trees beside the tent, Chen Mo lay on it with a comfortable face and entered the island holiday mode again. Now it's afternoon. In a short time, the sun is going to set. There is an orange sunset in the sky. Chen Mo lies quietly on the hammock, watching the sunset spread a little and gradually occupy the whole sky. In the salty and humid sea wind, Chen Mo began to take on a chill, lying in the sunset quietly enjoying the tranquility and serenity of this moment. On the other side of the island, survivors are trying to catch and collect more food in the last hours before the sun sets. On the same day, 3 foreigners sneaked into the camp late at night and captured 2 stewardesses, Zhang Lan and Su Shan. But Chen Mo, who was arrived in time outside the camp, was killed on the spot. Now, a week has passed since that event, and the life of the survivors is still as usual. They are busy with food during the day and drag themselves into the dream early and tired at night. As for rescue, they seem to have lost hope gradually. They no longer look at the sea level in the distance all day long and look forward to the emergence of rescue boats. Zhao Jianmin, the captain who knows the most in this respect, is very clear in his heart, and the hope of their rescue is very slim. When the engine broke down, their route began to shift. Now they don't know how far it has deviated from the original route. However, the underwater pulse signal sent by the black box has a range of only a few kilometers, and the battery is almost exhausted at this time. In the boundless sea, if they want to find those who deviate from the route and live on the island, they can be said to be like looking for a needle in a haystack. However, the country can't find them endlessly, and it will definitely delimit the search scope. If they deviate too much and go beyond the scope, they may only live on the island for the rest of their lives. Other survivors are also aware of these situations, so after a month in exile on the desert island, they will not catch crabs, collect shellfish, and suddenly look up to the sea, hoping that a rescue ship with a red flag will suddenly appear. Now, they are only looking down for more food and rarely look at the sea level in the distance. Of course, a group of old and weak women and children, even if the whole day is busy, how much food can they find on this small island? Although Wang Jianqiang, the old man's bodyguard, can get some harvest in the sea every day, he can't even fill his own stomach with fish and conch. If Chen Mo didn't set time and space to vote every day, this group of survivors would not know how much to starve. Put down the bitter expectation of rescue, the life of the survivors is still substantial. They don't have much time to think about the future because of the busy life every day. In a word, let's live first. Since the return of Chen Mo from the legendary world of the night, everything seems to have changed little, still in the quiet and busy day by day, until 2 weeks later. At this time, it is 1.5 months since the plane crashed, and rescue is almost impossible. Now they should have been declared dead, buried in the sea together with the plane. This island may be the place where they spend the rest of their lives. Some people are confused, some are sad, some are crying in silence, but some are secretly happy when they are lost. Now there are 8 survivors on the island. Apart from the elderly, bodyguards, and the captain who has just recovered from serious injuries, all of them are women, and all of them are beautiful young women. As the only young and strong man on the island, Wang Jianqiang began to have some different thoughts in his heart. Since we are going to spend the rest of our lives on this desert island, there is no need to suppress some things. After this deserted island is his territory. Everything on the island has the final say of him. These beautiful women will be allowed to enjoy it. The first is Su Wan, the secretary of the board of directors he coveted for many years. This morning, after Wang Jianqiang went into the water, he didn't swim to the deep water area to fish as usual. Instead, he kept a close eye on Su Wan, the old man's secretary. Chapter 129. Since 3 foreigners sneaked into the camp in the middle of the night and were killed by Chen Mo, the survivors, without any threat in order to get more food, were separated along the beach, each responsible for a section of area, rather than several people working together, which was too inefficient. Nowadays, with such division of labor, everyone finds more food than before. But at the same time, it also brings great convenience to Wang Jianqiang's action. He swam in the sea, quietly following Su Wan to a shoal strewn with many gravels. When he found that her position was completely out of the sight of others, Wang Jianqiang's face could not help but show the excited look of the prey about to arrive, and swam towards the shore impatiently. When he got up in the shallow water, Su Wan, who was not far away, still didn't find his arrival. He was still half squatting in the knee-high sea water, looking for food to eat under the rock. After living on the desert island for more than a month, Su Wan's image at this time is no longer as bright as before. The original elegant and fashionable image of a strong woman in the workplace has disappeared. The knee-length one-step skirt is inconvenient to move. At this time, Su Wan still cares about the image. In order to facilitate the activity, she has already torn the hem open. In addition, a large number of activities to look for food every day will continue to expand the damage. Now, the split of the skirt has reached the root of the thigh. At this time, she squatted in the sea. The whole round and slender legs were almost completely exposed, and the torn skirt fell in the sea, swinging back and forth with the waves, showing more scenery under the skirt from time to time. Although Su Wan's skin color is not as white as before after more than a month's wild life, but has turned into a healthy wheat color under the long-term sunlight, it is still fascinating. Su Wan's white shirt was also wet by the waves when she bent down to be busy. The wet place is closely attached to Su Wan's body, and her beautiful figure is perfectly outlined. The beautiful face is more charming against the concentrated expression on her face. The long hair hanging from her slender neck is also accompanied by the sea wind. The waves are floating like waves, like the daughter of the sea coming out of the sea. It is romantic, elegant, beautiful, and charming, which makes people can't bear it look away. Su Wan, who was absorbed in collecting food, didn't know what she looked like at the moment, or that Wang Jianqiang, who was supposed to hunt in the sea, had quietly arrived not far behind her. Looking at Su Wan's beautiful and graceful posture in front of him, Wang Jianqiang's desire in his heart is burning like a flame. His eyes turn red, and he can't care about hiding anymore. Stepping on the sea, he strides towards Su Wan impatiently. Not far away, Su Wan hears the sound of water behind her. She turns around doubtfully and finally finds Wang Jianqiang, who is approaching quickly behind her. The look of doubt flashed on Su Wan's face, and she soon found something wrong. Let's not say that Wang Jianqiang should be fishing in the sea at this time. He shouldn't be here. Even if he catches prey, he should go back to the camp. He should never come to his side. The association of Wang Jianqiang's strange look when he looked at her recently, and the greedy color on his face without any disguise at this time, made Su Wan's heart have a bad premonition. Seeing Wang Jianqiang's continuous stride towards her, Su Wan can't care about the crabs in her hands anymore. She quickly stands up and stealthily picks up a stone in the sea and hides it behind her. She looks at Wang Jianqiang with alert. "Why are you here?" Su Wan asked as if nothing had happened. Wang Jianqiang didn't seem to find Su Wan's little action. He continued to stride towards her on the sea water, grinning triumphantly without concealing his purpose, and said in a frivolous tone, "Come to you." Wang Jianqiang's answer sank Su Wan's heart. Looking at his posture, it's impossible to just talk to her. At this time, there are only two of them. If he really has any bad intentions, no one can stop him at all. But she will never let him succeed. Thinking of this, Su Wan tightly hid the stone in his back hand and looked at Wang Jianqiang with resolute eyes. "Don't come here," Su Wan snapped a warning. Wang Jianqiang sneered at the words, but there was no pause at his feet. "Don't struggle. You can live with me and suffer less. You're not the chairman's secretary now. That old guy can't protect you here. If you don't want to suffer from hunger every day, you will be obedient to me." Wang Jianqiang said. The voice began to become fierce, and the expression on his face gradually became ferocious. In the past, when he was in the company, he was fascinated by Su Wan, who was as gentle and charming as Lan. He also tried to please him, but Su Wan always said no to him. Although they were with the old man, they had little communication. It seems that Su Wan never paid attention to him as a bodyguard, which made Wang Jianqiang's heart bitter. But Su Wan has always been valued by the chairman of the board. Even if his son molested Su Wan, he was severely taught by the old guy, let alone his bodyguard. So before, he could only salivate at Su Wan's tall back and had no chance to kiss Fang Zi. And now, in this desert island where there is no law and power to decide everything, no matter how arrogant and cool you used to be, I will play with you now. Seeing that Wang Jianqiang had completely torn the disguise, he approached her with ferocious desire, and Su Wan's silver teeth bit. Originally, it was only a guess, but I also expected that Wang Jianqiang would not come here as she thought. Unfortunately, Wang Jianqiang's words completely shattered her last fluke. She is very clear that even if she turns around and runs away now, she will never run away from Wang Jianqiang, who has excellent physical quality. He will only catch up with her and easily fall to the ground. Instead of that, it's better to fight hard. Even if she dies, she is not willing to give in. Although he had some difficulty walking in the sea, Wang Jianqiang quickly approached Su Wan. When he reached for Su Wan with a funny face, Su Wan's right hand behind him suddenly moved. Su Wan clenched her teeth and tried her best to smash the stone in her hand towards Wang Jianqiang's head. She knew well what would happen if she fell into Wang Jianqiang's hands. Obviously, under the hopelessness of rescue, he has completely abandoned all morality and laws, and has done nothing. Wang Jianqiang's coveting for him has been discovered for a long time, but she didn't care about it before. Now, without the restriction of laws and rules, she can only rely on the most primitive and direct way to deal with the violations from Wang Jianqiang. The original weak body erupted the biggest strength under the threat. The stone with the size of a palm was waved by Su Wan with all his strength, and it hit Wang Jianqiang's head. Seeing that the stone was getting closer and closer to his head, suddenly, a strong hand grabbed Su Wan's slender wrist. The stone in her hand was less than a foot away from Wang Jianqiang's head, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't get closer. Wang Jianqiang grabs Su Wan's wrist, smiles proudly, turns his head lightly and glances at the stone she holds in her hand. Then he uses his aggressive eyes to look directly at Su Wan's beautiful eyes with some panic. He says slowly with a wicked smile on the corner of his mouth, "That's what you want to do with me." Su Wan quickly recovered from the initial panic and stared at Wang Jianqiang without flinching. In addition to firmness, there was a hint of rejection in his eyes. His right hand was caught by Wang Jianqiang and he couldn't break away. Su Wan didn't give up. Instead, he suddenly raised his right leg and kicked him in the crotch. That's the most important thing for a man. As long as he was kicked, any strong man would have to kneel and wail and lose his fighting power. If someone else stops Su Wan's planned attack for a long time and grabs her in his hand, he will probably lie down under Su Wan's unexpected fatal attack. Unfortunately, Wang Jianqiang, after all, is a top bodyguard, a master of unarmed combat with rich fighting experience. Su Wangang had some moves, and he found out his intention. At this time, he grabbed Su Wan's right hand holding the stone in his left hand, held it up in front of him, and his empty right hand quickly leaned down. Su Wan took a step first and grabbed Su Wan's ankle before she hit the crux of his crotch. Now Su Wan is really desperate. Wang Jianqiang has resisted the two attacks with all his strength. He is still under the control of the other party. She can't resist the other party's restraint with her strength. Is it true that he will be destroyed in his hands today? You're begging for it. Wang Jianqiang's face became ugly, and his eyes were full of rage. Holding Su Wan's hands and feet, he pushed back and threw Su Wan into the sea. Su Wan's clothes were completely wet by the waves, and her hair was also pasted on her delicate cheek. The whole person was in a mess. Su Wan, who fell into the sea, didn't pay attention to these things. He took advantage of the temporary break away from Wang Jianqiang's control and quickly turned his back and walked on the sea. Wang Jianqiang, with a joking smile on his face, watched Su Wan, who was in a hurry to escape, and strode after him. The speed of the two people in the sea water is not fast. Every step must overcome the resistance brought by the sea water. Su Wan bites her teeth and runs forward with all her strength. However, she feels that Wang Jianqiang's pursuit of Hua in the sea water is getting closer and closer. Not far away, Su Wan felt a sharp pain in her scalp. She pulled her head and fell back. Wang Jianqiang pulled her hair and grabbed it. She couldn't run anymore. Just when Wang Jianqiang tried to pull Su Wan's hair to the shore, a cold voice full of murderous air suddenly sounded behind him. Let go. Wang Jianqiang didn't have any color of surprise, but showed a cold smile like a conspiracy to succeed. Holding Su Wan's hair in one hand, Wang Jianqiang turned around and looked at the woods near the bank with a smile on his face. In Wang Jianqiang's eyes full of inspection, and Su Wanman's expectation, a tall figure dressed in black slowly walked out of the forest. Chen Mo's tall figure came out of the woods on the bank. Chapter 130. Seeing Chen Mo's sudden appearance, Wang Jianqiang was not surprised at all, but looked at him carefully. I've been waiting for you for a long time. It's not easy to lead you out. It turns out that what Wang Jianqiang did before was all to lead Chen Mo out. Now that we know that there is a mysterious man on the island, how can Wang Jianqiang not be prepared? Being a bodyguard of the chairman of a large company is not only a good skill, but also a keen mind. He must be able to analyze the possible or known threats in advance, properly handle and deal with them. Although since the crash of the plane and the exile on the desert island, his energy has all been focused on hunting and survival, and his protection to the boss has become increasingly indifferent. He even relaxed his guard against the 3 foreigners, who sneaked into the camp and took 2 stewardesses without knowing. But it can only be said that his grasp of the people's heart is not enough. He did not expect them to be so bold and change their mentality so fast, but they also reminded him that the situation is different now. In this desert island, there is no rescue, no law, everything is back to the original state, power determines everything, and he just has the strongest power among all survivors. As long as Chen Mo's only threat is eliminated, the general of the isolated island will let him do whatever he wants. But he has also searched the whole island for Chen Mo, but even his shadow has not been found. Recalling what happened after he was trapped on the island, Wang Jianqiang carefully analyzed Chen Mo's behavior and psychology. From the fact that he had been quietly providing them with precious food, he could see that he was kind-hearted. Last time, he killed 3 foreigners who had taken prisoners in the night, but he was very cruel. Wang Jianqiang can't see through Chen Mo and can't touch the mentality of the mysterious man hiding on the island, but one thing is certain, that he has been watching them secretly. Moreover, if someone does harm to others like the last three foreigners, the mysterious man will appear again. At that time, he will be able to take the opportunity to kill the only threat and lay down his sovereignty on the island. So although he coveted Su Wan, after the real operation, his mind was all in the woods beside him, where Chen Mo was most likely to hide. Not surprisingly, Chen Mo appeared at the critical moment as he thought. Although Chen Mo killed three foreigners with his own strength before, according to the description of Zhang Lan and Wang Jianqiang speculated that at that time, the three successfully captured two women and withdrew from their camp. They must have relaxed their mind. Most of their attention should be on the two women they had taken away, and there was no defense at all. Chen Mo hides under the surprise attack in the dark. There is no way for the three men who are carrying the two women to fight back immediately. Instead, he can easily kill the three of them. In addition, Chen Mo has been secretly hiding in the dark and refuses to appear. Wang Jianqiang suspects that he should only be good at sneak attack and assassination, which is likely to be a killer. As a top-level bodyguard, Wang Jianqiang has a certain understanding of killers. Their fighting ability is often not very strong. They rely more on surprise attack and long-distance sniping. They really want to fight with him face to face. Wang Jianqiang is confident to defeat any killers, and Chen Mo is no exception. At that time, Chen Mo killed three foreigners in the dark. Zhang Lan and Zhang Lan were carried away, unable to see the specific situation at that time. In addition, the bodies of the three were dragged away and disposed of by Chen Mo. Wang Jianqiang had no way to know how Chen Mo killed the three. With the strictness of aviation security check, it's almost impossible to bring weapons on the plane. Even if he used special means to avoid security check and hid weapons in his luggage and mixed them into the plane. But the air crash happened very suddenly. He didn't have time to bring weapons to him at all. So Wang Jianqiang guessed that Chen Mo's weapons for killing three foreigners were probably simple weapons such as stones and spears. Looking at Chen Mo, who is walking towards him in a black combat suit and a special mask on his head, Wang Jianqiang shows such an expression. Because he found that Chen Mo did not carry any weapons, which clearly confirmed his conjecture. Although Chen Mo's physique is much bigger than he imagined, it can only be said that he is stronger. He is not as big, muscular, and strong. Judging from his stature alone, Chen Mo's strength is not as strong as his. Wang Jianqiang has the advantage in power and the fighting ability he is proud of. He has the confidence to kill this meddlesome killer. He is not the three unguarded stupid foreigners. On fighting alone, he is confident that he will not lose to anyone. Seeing Chen Mo walking step by step, Wang Jianqiang's eyes also become sharp. He pushes Su Wan down in the sea, and Wang Jianqiang strides towards Chen Mo. Just when they were less than 5 meters away, Wang Jianqiang, who seemed to rush forward to directly fight with Chen Mo, suddenly reached behind and drew out a spear at a very fast speed. At his feet, Wang Jianqiang stepped forward with his right foot and turned his body. Then he hurled the spear in his hand and shot it at Chen with a sound of breaking the air. Although the wooden spear used for spearing fish is simple and crude, it is still very sharp. Wang Jianqiang hunted with it for many days, and it is very skillful to use it. The spear shoots straight at Chen Mo's chest. At such a short distance, it is surprising that ordinary people can't resist it. Wang Jianqiang planned to strike for a long time. Since Chen Mo appeared, he has been waiting for an opportunity. The other side would not expect that he would suddenly shoot a spear at him. If he had no intention, he would probably shoot him. Even if he narrowly escaped, he must have been in a state of great embarrassment, unable to resist his next attack. Since he had been planning for a long time, he had not only brought a spear. After shooting his spear at Chen Mo, Wang Jianqiang didn't take any notice. Although it was so close that he could hardly escape the attack himself, He cautiously extended his hand to his back and prepared to take down another spear in case Chen Mo evaded, or continued to attack when his body was unstable. But what happened next made his pupils shrink and his hands reach behind him. Unexpectedly, Chen Mo reaches out his right hand and grabs the spear with all his strength. The spear point is less than a foot away from Chen Mo's chest, but it can no longer pose any threat to him. Wang Jianqiang suddenly had a bad premonition that he seemed to underestimate the mysterious killer. At such a close distance, he could grasp his spear with his hands so easily. His quick response, powerful speed and strength were beyond his expectation. Wang Jianqiang stares at Chen Mo's hand holding the spear with a dignified face. He quickly pulls out another spear behind him and holds it with both hands. He looks at Chen Mo with all his eyes on guard against his counterattack. Chen Mo looks down at the spear that points his eyes to his chest, and a trace of murderous intention emerges. In fact, Wang Jianqiang has noticed his thoughts for a long time, but in the real world he is not willing to be easily ragged and killed, especially the other party's only some bad ideas. If the rescue comes in time, his ideas will only be ideas, rather than actions. Although Chen Mo is determined to kill in the movie world, in the real world, he consciously suppresses his own killing nature. He will not hesitate to kill the person who should be killed, but he has a little bad idea in his mind to directly kill the person, which is actually a little too much. Of course, if this idea is a threat to him or his family, Chen Mo will not let the hidden danger exist and will not hesitate to wipe him out. However, Wang Jianqiang is obviously not a threat to him or even other survivors on the island, because his every move is under Chen Mo's control. Chen Mo can quickly find out and stop any unusual move he makes. If he keeps that idea in his mind, no matter whether he wants to indulge in sex or dream, Chen Mo will let him continue to live in peace as long as it is not really implemented. Unfortunately, desire blinded his eyes, and he chose a dead path for himself. This desert island is not big. Chen Murenrui's hearing can cover the whole island. Despite the interference of waves, Chen Murenrui can still clearly distinguish everyone's position, hear every word they say and every sound they utter. Chen Mo was lying on the hammock and eating breakfast. Although there was no can or compressed biscuit in the Legend of the Dark World, vegetables, fruits, and barbecue were more delicious than these military rations. There is no oxygen in the space. For a long time, there is no need to worry about the food spoiling. Therefore, Chen Muguang has several cubes of various fruits. The rest of the military biscuits and cans were left to the survivors. These foods are more energetic and suitable for the survivors who need to eat. As for fruit, he can enjoy it alone. Just as Chen Mo peeled off a banana and took a bite, he exclaimed that the fruits of the Middle Ages were better than those of the modern times. However, the sound in his ears made him find something unusual. Wang Jianqiang, who was supposed to swim to the deep sea, followed Su Wan to a shallow bay in the sea. Chen Mo quickly guessed Wang Jianqiang's plan and quickly put on clothes to catch up with him. However, what he didn't expect was that Wang Jianqiang's real goal was him. Chen Mo holds the spear in his hand and looks at Wang Jianqiang, who stops in front of him. Wang Jianqiang, who holds the spear in his hands, has a dignified face but still looks fierce. He can't help but flash a trace of killing in his eyes. He didn't expect that Wang Jianqiang in the brain of Jingchang didn't completely lose his mind, and he knew that the only threat to him was to play first. Unfortunately, his calculation is doomed to fail, but also to take their own life. Coldly looking at Wang Jianqiang, who is full of ferocity, Chen Mo raises his spear and hurls it towards the front. In Wang Jianqiang's astonished eyes, this spear was originally used by him to attack Chen Mo, but it shot at him at a faster speed, carrying a huge kinetic energy and inserting it into his chest. Under Chen Mo's powerful throwing, the The spear directly penetrated his body and penetrated most of it from the back. Looking at the half-spear exposed on his chest, Wang Jianqiang's face was unbelievable, and then his eyes quickly dimmed, and his body fell back straight and straight. The whole body fell into the knee-deep sea, leaving only half of the spear straight and exposed on the sea. Wang Jianqiang, who wants to be yin himself, is killed at will. Chen Mo looks up to Su Wan, who is beside him. Chapter 131. As early as Chen Mo appeared, Wang Jianqiang pushed Su Wan away, and Su Wan, who fell into the water, quickly moved away from Wang Jianqiang. After retreating for a while, Su Wan did not continue to escape, but stood in the distance, looking at the two people who were constantly approaching with a surprised face. Although she had known his existence for a long time, the mysterious man in black who came out of the woods was the first time she saw him with her own eyes. Like Zhang Lan's vague description, he is very tall and mysterious. The dark and cold metal mask on his head can't show his age and appearance, but it makes her feel mysterious and powerful. After seeing Chen Mo catch Wang Jianqiang's spear with empty hands, and the whole process of putting him to death without hesitation, Su Wan was not afraid at all, but excited and relaxed for the rest of his life. Wang Jianqiang's words just made her understand that today all these are the situations set up by Wang Jianqiang in order to lead to Chen Mo, and once Chen Mo is really killed by him, she can never escape his poisonous hand. Moreover, it wasn't just her. She couldn't imagine that everyone else on the island would be enslaved by Wang Jianqiang by force. Fortunately, Wang Jianqiang dug his own hole and died. Although Chen Mo has been hiding in the dark and never showed up, we can see from his actions all the time that he is a very righteous person. If he has the same bad thoughts as the three foreigners or Wang Jianqiang, there is no need to quietly provide them with food. When they are hungry, they will not be able to do anything. But instead of watching them starve, he quietly gave them precious food. When three foreigners took Zhang Lan and Su Shan away, he appeared in time and saved them. Like Wang Jianqiang, Su Wan has carefully analyzed Chen Mo and reached the same conclusion as him. She also thinks that Chen Mo is likely to be a killer. The difference is that Wang Jianqiang can't see Chen Mo's psychology at all, but she has more guesses. Chen Mo reminds her of a movie that she once saw. The killer lion in this killer is not too cold. They all seem to be the same cold and cruel, killing without blinking, but they also choose to protect the weak. Just like at this time, Chen Mo, who just killed someone, looks cold, ferocious, and frightening, but when she looks at Chen Mo's eyes, Su Wan feels a trace of care, like a warm sunshine which completely melts the shadow in her heart. At this time, Su Wan determined his previous speculation. Under Chen's cold and mysterious appearance, it was a just and kind heart. Although I don't know what Chen Mo has experienced before and why he became a killer, Su Wan is no longer half afraid of him but has a strong sense of security. Maybe, like the ancient Zayak, he killed all the people he should kill, just like the 4 people he killed on this island. Facing Chen Mo's eyes, Su Wan did not dodge to look at him. "Thank you." Su Wan's voice was calm and sincere. When she fell into the sea twice, her whole body was already wet. Her long, wet hair was stuck on her body. The sea water was dripping down the top of her hair. The wet white shirt became almost transparent. It was tightly attached to her body, revealing her graceful figure. The white skin under the shirt was invisible, and the conservative white underwear was in full view. The delicate and beautiful face under the wet hair, combined with the slightly awkward, graceful posture, is really fascinating. No wonder Wang Jianqiang is eager to kill Chen Mo. I believe that if he succeeds in killing Chen Mo, the first thing to do is to start with Su Wan. Chen Mo's eyes swept over Su Wan and walked towards the woods. Su Wan sees that Chen Mo is going to leave, hides himself again, and immediately wants to shout Chen Mo, "Follow me." Chen Mo's voice was low and plain, as if what had just happened could not cause any disturbance to his mind. If Su Wan has the same keen hearing as Chen Mo, he will find that Chen Mo's heart has been beating slowly and powerfully. There was no change when he shot Wang Jianqiang before, but it accelerated suddenly in the moment just now. Who would have thought that Chen Mo, who was the most precious emperor, was still a pure virgin when he established a powerful empire across the whole continent of Europe? To be honest, the impact of looking at Su Wan just now is no different from that of fighting with Alexander Corvinus. It's a pity that his mental strength has not been improved. Otherwise, he has to think about whether to keep watching. When Su Wan heard Chen Mo's voice for the first time, he was also stunned. After responding to Chen Mo's words, his face couldn't help but rejoice and hurriedly followed him. As for the danger of walking with him, not to mention that Chen Mo just saved her, what he had done all along made her feel very reliable. Even if Chen Mo really had a bad idea for her, with the strength he just showed, no matter where she could not resist, it was no different from not walking with him. So Su Wan did not hesitate to follow up. Of course, the most important thing is that Su Wan believed him, and with her intuition, she could not feel any malice from Chen Mo. If someone had told her before that she would trust a strange man she met for the first time so easily and enter the woods with him alone, she would feel crazy. However, at this time, she believed that Chen Mo would never hurt her. Chen Mo leads Su Wan through the woods and takes a few minutes to return to his camp. Now that he has completely appeared in front of the survivors, it's no longer interesting to hide, so Chen Mo has decided to end his single vacation and switch to group mode. Su Wan follows Chen Mo curiously. She doesn't know where Chen Mo is going to take her. Until Chen Mo stops in front of her, Su Wan finds that they come to a clearing in the forest. A large military tent immediately appeared in her sight. Then she looked aside. The hammock tied to the tree and various fruits placed on the simple folding table made her eyes widen. Compared with the camp like their refugee camp, it was paradise. If they are living in the wild, Chen Mo is camping at all. Just on this isolated island, how did he do it? Thinking of this, Su Wan's eyes towards Chen Mo are full of doubts and puzzlement. Chen Mo's shadow under the mask of black becomes more mysterious. Chen Mo ignored Su Wan's eyes and walked into the tent. The military tent, which was brought from Captain World of the United States, is 3 times 4 meters long and 251.6 meters high. It has a door and a window. It can move freely inside without bending down. After entering the tent, Chen Mo took out a set of his spare black combat suit and 2 towels, put them on the air-cushioned bed, and then returned out of the tent. "Go in and change your clothes." Chen Mo's voice is still cold. Su Wan looks down at himself and suddenly finds that he is in such a mess. After the ups and downs just now, Su Wan's spirit is still a little trance, even though he has been relieved from the danger. He has never noticed his embarrassment. Su Wan could not help blushing at the thought of being almost seen by Chen Mo, but she could not help smiling at Chen Mo's performance. All the haze Wang Jianqiang had brought to her just now seemed to disappear. "Thank you," she thanked Chen Mo in a low voice. Su Wan went to the tent with her arms in her hands. As she passed Chen Mo, Su Wan could not help turning her head to look at Chen Mo. His tall body stood motionless with his back to her. His shoulders were wide, and his back was strong and straight. She felt very relieved to stand there like that. Su Wan's face once again showed a touching smile and gently lifted the curtain and walked into the tent. Feeling the clear and shy eyes behind him, Chen Mo moved away from him completely and put down the raised curtain again, which made Chen Mo feel more comfortable. Chen Mo used to think low-key and hide himself in the real world, and most of his energy was on his ability to improve slowly, so he had few friends. The women she met the most were Peggy Carter and Amelia, but they all had a sense of belonging for a long time, and naturally felt different when watching him. Su Wanjin goes into the tent and looks around. The space in the tent is very spacious and simple. A large double air cushion bed only accounts for about 1/3 of the space. At this time, there is a set of black clothes and 2 clean towels on the mattress. In addition, there is nothing else in the tent. For the Chen Mo who has space, it's better to take most of the things directly from the space when they are needed. There's no need to put them out. Instead of changing clothes directly, Su Wan walked quietly to the window and looked at Chen Mo, who was standing outside. He was still standing where he had been. He didn't seem to move. He didn't want to peek. Su Wan, with a smile on his lips, slowly lifted his hand and unbuttoned his shirt. A few minutes later, Su Wan, wearing a wide black combat suit, lifted the curtain and walked out of the tent. Originally tall and slim, Chen Mo's clothes, which were obviously several sizes larger, did not look bloated at all, but more heroic and more attractive. Chen Mo takes a deep look at Su Wan and has to admit that she is really a rare beauty. She has red lips, jade teeth, beautiful eyes, beautiful apricot eyes, and some wet hair hanging on her cheek. Her beautiful face is even more charming. After a scare just now, Su Wan is always strong, but Chen Mo can still feel the fatigue on her face. Chapter 132. In a short period of time under the stimulation of the spirit of the violent fluctuations, it is very easy to feel tired. Let Su Wan rest in the tent for a while, and Chen Mo goes back alone to kill Wang Jianqiang's shoal. The spear standing upright in the sea clearly marked the position of Wang Jianqiang's body. After feeling the surroundings and confirming that no one else was around, Chen Mo took off his battle suit and the alloy armor inside and stepped into the sea in a pair of shorts. When he came to the spear standing in the water, Chen Mo reached out and grasped the spear body. He raised it a little harder and pulled it out. With Chen Mo's accuracy and understanding of the human body, the spear accurately avoided the skeleton when it shot through Wang Jianqiang's body, so the spear tip was not damaged and was still very sharp. Chen Mo stooped to put Wang Jianqiang's body into the space, then walked into the sea with a spear. In Chen Mo's camp in the spacious military tent, Su Wan lies on the spacious and comfortable air cushion bed, sniffs the faint breath left by Chen Mo on the bed, and sleeps slowly and peacefully. 2 hours later, the survivors' camp. It was almost noon, and the survivors who had been busy all morning returned to the camp with their own food. After people came back, they found that Wang Jianqiang and Su Wan had not come back. Su Wan's late return is normal, but Wang Jianqiang usually comes back to the camp early to have a rest. Rarely this time hasn't come back. Captain Zhao Jianmin looks at the old man Li Jingheng, who is not fit to stay in the camp. Li Lao, have they both come back before? The old man's face was a little pale, and his spirit was not very good. He just shook his head slightly and didn't speak. Knowing that neither of them had ever returned to the camp, Zhao Jianmin felt uneasy for some reason. He thought of Wang Jianqiang's strange eyes when he saw Su Wan. Zhao Jianmin said it was not good. Yes, Su Wan may be in danger. After the last 3 foreigners, Zhao Jianmin is very sensitive to this kind of thing. He doesn't want similar things to happen again, but in the current abnormal situation, his guess is likely to come true. Who of you noticed where Su Wan went in the morning? Zhao asked anxiously. Sister Su Wan said she was going to catch crabs in the western shoal. Zhang Xin, who was a little flushed by the sea breeze on the island, also felt something wrong when she heard the words. Remembering what Su Wan said to them in the morning, she quickly stood up and said, one side of Su Qing's brain slow a clap. Wait for her to finish this, just reaction come over, hurriedly follow nod. Yes, yes, yes. Sister Su Wan told us this morning. Zhao Jianmin nodded when he heard the words and said to the people seriously, take the spear and we'll find her. He still remembers that when 3 foreigners robbed the cans of 2 little girls last time, he was unable to stop them. When Zhang Lan and Su Shan were taken away, he felt nothing, which made him feel very guilty all the time. As a captain, He is obliged to take care of all the survivors and protect their safety after the air crash. But before, his head injury was not light, and the whole person was faint and very weak. If it was not for their care, he would have given him less food. He could not live now. So now anyway, he will bring back Su Wan's safety belt. I just hope it's not too late. After Zhao Jianmin finished speaking, he turned and drew a spear from the camp. They had made this spear for the purpose of guarding against 3 foreigners. Each of them had 1 spear. Zhang Lan and Su Shan follow Zhao Jianmin and take up their spears without hesitation. As crew members, they are also responsible for taking care of all the survivors. For the 3 of them, although the plane crashed, the desert island at this time is their plane. They will try their best to make every passenger go home safely. Zhang Xin and Su Qing take a look at each other and rush back to their humble tents, take out their spears and stand beside Zhang Lan. If that villain dare to bully Sister Su Wan, we will fight with him. Zhao Jianmin took a spear and looked at the 2 young girls with firm faces. He hesitated for a moment and nodded, but did not stop them. Wang Jianqiang, after all, is a professional bodyguard. In fact, he has no bottom in his heart. He only relies on his belief. More 2 people can always provide more security. If it's true as he guessed, once they fail, the 2 little girls can't escape Wang Jianqiang's clutches. It's better to fight with all their strength at this time. Turning to the last remaining old man in the camp, Li Zhengheng, Zhao Jianmin looked at his pale face and said with concern, "Li Lao, you are waiting in the camp. You will be back soon." Li Zhengheng knows what Zhang Jianmin is worried about. In fact, he has some guesses in his mind. Wang Jianqiang's attitude towards him has been getting worse and worse recently, which is totally different from his previous deference and obedience. He can understand this. It's so hard to survive. No one cares what chairman you are, but he didn't expect that Wang Jianqiang would be so bold. He also wanted to go with them, but his physical condition was not allowed at all. He nodded helplessly and watched several people whisper, "Be careful. Time is urgent. There is no time for more nonsense." Zhao Jianmin nodded to the old man, tightened his spear, and prepared to take the 4 girls behind him to the west of the island. If it's really the worst case, all he can do is to do his best. Even if he and Wang Jianqiang die together, they must ensure the safety of others. Just as they left the camp, they found 2 figures coming towards them. Zhao Jianmin can't help but stop and look at the 2 people walking slowly in the distance. Are they worried too much? They just happened to be late. The 4 women following him were also confused. As they approached, the expression on their faces changed. Su Wan was one of them, but she was not wearing the original clothes, but a large set of black military uniforms, and walked side by side with her. That is taller than the tall figure of her, but it is not Wang Jianqiang. The man was carrying a spear on his shoulder, and he was wearing the same black combat suit as Su Wan. However, his tall and strong body completely propped up the suit, which was not as loose as Su Wan. Under the suit, there was a developed muscular outline, full of oppressive force. On his head, he was wearing a strange dark steel mask, which made people feel cold and mysterious. Judging from the figure alone, this man can't be Wang Jianqiang. Although Wang Jianqiang is also very strong, even stronger than the man in front of him, he is definitely not so tall. Zhao Jianmin can't help but lift up his spear and point to the tall figure approaching slowly. He doesn't know whether the mysterious man who suddenly appears is the enemy or the friend. Where is Wang Jianqiang? How did Su Wan change her clothes? Who is this mysterious man? All kinds of questions linger in Zhao Jianmin's mind. After all kinds of previous experiences, in the face of the mysterious man who suddenly appears at this time, he can't help being careless. As the 2 people get closer and closer, what they see is more and more true. The pressure in Zhao Jianmin's heart is also growing. The mysterious stranger is not easy to get into trouble from the appearance alone. If Wang Jianqiang didn't show up because of him, doesn't it mean that he is more powerful than Wang Jianqiang? It's hard to deal with him by relying on 5 of them. If he's going to be bad for them, he's going to have to fight. Just when Zhao Jianmin secretly made up his mind, Zhang Xin behind him suddenly spoke. Blackman, Zhang Xin's tone is a little uncertain, but it's more of a thrill. Uncle. Su Qing looks at the two people who are getting closer and closer. The tall figure beside Su Wan gradually overlaps with the vague shadow in her mind, which makes her eyes glow with excitement. Is it him? When Zhang Lan and Su Shan heard the two women's exclamation, they immediately responded. Although they were frightened that night and the sky was dark, they could not see it very well, but the figure in front of them was very consistent with their vague memory. On this island, there should be no more people. He saved them from 3 foreigners that night. At this time, Zhao Jianming finally knew the identity of the visitor, and the defense in his heart was reduced. However, he still didn't put down his spear and was not confirmed. He was still not at ease. He couldn't make fun of everyone's safety. Finally, Su Wan and his wife came to the public and saw their spear ready to go out. After a little thought, they guessed the reason and their plan. Su Wan's heart couldn't help but warm up. Chen Mo didn't care to look at Zhao Jianmin, who was holding a spear at him. Su Wan, on the other hand, rushed to explain. Captain, put the spear down. She only had a general guess about Chen Mo's character, but in fact, she didn't know at all. With Chen Mo's decisive performance in killing before, she didn't know whether Chen Mo would be angry because of this, so she hurriedly stopped it and told the whole story of the whole thing. When they learned that Wang Jianqiang really wanted to start with Su Wan, they couldn't help being furious. When they heard that he was killed by Chen Mo, they were relieved, and their eyes towards Chen Mo were also filled with awe. It's not that they are afraid of Chen Mo. On the contrary, they are full of gratitude to Chen Mo. Whether it's to provide them with food aid or to rescue them several times in a crisis, Chen Mo can be regarded as a lifesaver for all of them. It's just that they are awed by the mysterious, powerful, and cold-blooded silence of killing 4 bad people on the island. Chen Murenrui felt the complex vision of people looking at him, and the meaning contained in it, which he could understand. In his view, this is the awe of human instinct for life, the reverence for people who give life, and the fear of people who deprive life. But there are 2 people who are not afraid at all. At this time, they are staring at Chen Mo with black eyes. They are the 2 little girls saved by Chen Mo from the plane. After Su Wan's explanation, everyone knew Chen Mo's identity and what he did for them, and they could not help but thank him from the bottom of their hearts. Chen Mo nodded and didn't speak. Instead, he put down the spear on his shoulder. They found that Chen Mo was carrying a huge sea fish on the spearhead behind him. On Chen Mo's spear, there is a huge sea fish about 1 meter long. Chapter 133. But before it was completely blocked by Chen Mo's tall body, until now Chen Mo put it in front of him and people saw it. Since Chen Mo is not going to hide, there is no need to cover up. Airdrop can also be declared over. Considering that people haven't had a good meal for a long time, Chen Mo simply went to the sea to catch a big fish to improve their lives. Right is a meeting ceremony. With his physical fitness, he can stay underwater for more than 10 minutes without pressure, and his swimming speed in the sea is not much slower than that of ordinary fish. As Chen Mo roamed the sea floor and enjoyed the scenery of the sea floor, he was looking for large enough prey. Most of his time was spent wandering around. This sea fish is more than 1 meter long, enough to have more than 20 kilograms, enough for everyone to eat a meal. Half an hour later, the fish was cut into pieces, dressed with sticks, and put on the fire. Under the burning of the fire, the surface of the fish is crackling slightly from time to time. With the continuous turning, it gradually becomes golden and attractive. The cracks between the fish are continuously steaming with heat, and a strong fragrance is then dispersed. 2 little girls squatted beside the fire, staring at the fish above the fire without blinking, smelling the fragrance and swallowing their saliva from time to time. At noon that day, The survivors who have never had a full meal since the plane crash finally feel the sense of satiety that they haven't seen for a long time, and the thick happiness and satisfaction that follow. In this difficult environment, it's really happy to have a full meal. People don't have to say much about the silence that brings them all. However, Chenmo did not eat with them. Although his alloy armor combat suit was well designed and comfortable to wear, he could not directly wear it to eat. He could not show his face in front of the crowd and could only eat it when he returned to his own camp. But he was not idle when they were busy cooking fish. After throwing the fish to them, Chenmo went into the forest alone. Leaving everyone's sight, Chenmo takes out the sword of the king from the space and prepares to open the logging mode. It's just that Chenmo just took out the sword and took it in his hand. After a pause, Chenmo took it back again. The king's sword is as hard as mud. It's even easier to cut trees. However, Chenmo didn't think that cutting trees with it was overkill, but he was cautious. After all, I don't know whether the rescue will come or not. It's better to leave as few flaws as possible on this island. The cut made by King's sword is extremely smooth, which is obviously different from other ordinary swords. It's easy to cause doubt and trouble, and even without the sword of the king, it would be easy for Chenmo to break these trees. Take up the sword of the king. Chenmo chooses a tree with a straight trunk and a thick arm. He reaches to it, grabs the trunk with his left hand stretched forward, makes a knife with his right hand, and directly waves his hand to the position below the trunk. Without even exerting much strength, the trunk was easily cut off by his armored right hand. Then Chenmo put down the tree and broke the redundant branches directly, leaving only a straight trunk. It may take a lot of effort for others, but Chenmo does it easily and casually. Each tree is put down by Chenmo, and then he starts to work around with both hands and soon breaks all the branches. When Chenmo feels like he's almost stopped, a pile of long and straight tree trunks has been piled nearby. After cutting the wood, Chenmo did not rush back to the survivors' camp, but first returned to his camp. Take out the barbecue and fruit brought by the legendary World of the Night from the space, and enjoy the rich lunch leisurely. Chenmo lies on the spacious and comfortable air-cushioned bed for a rest, then gets up and returns to the survivors' camp. A group of survivors had just finished their sea fish meal when they were standing or sitting around the fire, their faces full of satisfaction. When they saw Chenmo coming back, they hurriedly got up and looked at him warmly. Seeing that all the people were full, Chenmo nodded slightly without any nonsense. "Follow me." Take all the people except the old man, and Chenmo returns to the place where he cut down the trees. Looking at a large number of slender and straight trunks in front of them, people looked at each other and didn't know what Chenmo meant. "Take all these trunks back to the camp." In the puzzled eyes of all the people, Chenmo said slowly, "In the afternoon, we build the house." With full curiosity and expectation, people began to carry wood. The trunk, which is 3 or 4 meters long and with thin arms, is actually not heavy. Zhang Xin and Su Qing, 2 little girls, can lift 2 at a time with a little effort. Zhao Jianmin, the captain who basically recovered, can carry 2 or 3 of them by himself. They didn't slacken off at all. They kept moving back and forth, but it was a bustling scene. The 2 little girls are very hard to help. They work hard. They don't want to be parasites. Their elder sister and uncle don't know each other, but they help them a lot. They also need to help as much as possible. So although some of them were tired and could not move later, they were still biting their teeth and carrying 2 tree trunks to the camp, unwilling to put down one and relax. Including others to later also tired, but no one complained, lazy, even in his eyes. Since his exile on the desert island, Chenmo has looked at everyone's performance. He knows that he didn't help the wrong person and is glad that he didn't stand by because of too many concerns. At least they are all worthy of his help, even if their ability is limited, but everyone will do their best to help others, distribute their own food to the people who need it more, and at the same time they will try to do their best to be responsible. That is to say, under Chen Mo's interference, they can live to the end safely by screening and elimination according to his rules. Without him, the fate of these honest people would not be so good. To be exact, it would be very miserable. Through this, Chen Mo feels that justice needs to be upheld. Let nature's survival of the fittest. How many good people do not have a good end? How many evil for one side? He would like to see more people like them live in peace and hope that all those who do evil will be punished. Justice needs to be defended and evil needs to be punished. Chen Mo believes that he can do more than that. Start from this island. A little bit later, tens of hundreds of tree trunks, with the concerted cooperation of all people, have moved back to the camp for more than 10 times. Chen Mo, who had been returned by the first group, had already chosen a place and made a mark. Although it was to build a house, the conditions were limited after all. In fact, it was to build a shelter that could keep out the wind and rain. However, compared with the simple shelter that they could not even build, Chen Mo planned to build a mansion. Chen Mo chooses a higher ground on the east side of the camp, where the ground is flat and dry, so there is no need to do too much processing. After selecting the place, Chen Mo didn't start work immediately, but took out an 8-in alloy throwing knife from the space while no one noticed. It's 25 cm long, 3 cm wide and 5 m thick. It's easy to use it as a dagger. After taking a trunk, Chen Mo uses a throwing knife to sharpen one end of the trunk, and then places it on the fire to bake it black for simple carbonization. When the two girls came back with the last 2 trunks in sweat, Chen Mo had handled enough trunks and started the construction of the shelter. Standing at the position that had been marked in advance, Chen Mo held a sharp trunk with both hands, raised it high, and then thrust it into the ground. Yes. Under Chen Mo's great power, the trunk was deeply inserted into the ground, nearly half a meter long. The people beside this scene are all a little stunned. How powerful it is. Although the ground is not very hard, it's terrible to insert it nearly half a meter. In fact, Chen Mo has some reservations. After all, it's not so shocking. His performance now is the level of a top-level Hercules. Although people are surprised, they can still accept it. They don't think Chen Mo is not human. Next, Chen Muru, with the same humanoid pile driver, inserted a sharp trunk at the bottom into the soil. Soon the main pillars of the shelter were erected. Then, Chen Mo led the returning people to tie the other trunks with vines in proper positions and fix them together. Under the guidance of Chen Mo, all the people worked together and worked together. It didn't take too long to build the framework of the shelter. Chen Mo didn't choose to build a small and simple triangular or conical shelter, so the internal space was too small. Anyway, it was not a problem for Chen Mo, and he didn't know how long to stay on the island, so he just built a larger one. It can be seen from the completed framework that this is a large wooden house with a length of 5 meters by 5 meters, a middle ridge of 2 meters, and a height of 1.8 meters at the bottom of both sides, which is enough to accommodate 10 people to rest without overcrowding. After the frame is set up, the wooden house is very stable, but it is still in a state of ventilation. However, the major project has been completed, and the rest is much simpler. Under the command of Chen Mo, they collected a large number of branches with leaves, covered them neatly on the frame and tied them, and tried to block every gap as much as possible, especially on the roof, which was covered with a thick layer of branches and leaves. It took 7 people a whole afternoon to finish the construction of the shelter before the sun went down. Looking at the green, simple wooden house, everyone was very happy. The 2 little girls clapped their hands happily, and finally they didn't have to squeeze into the small and airy simple tent. Although the wooden house is a little shabby, it is very spacious. The thick leaves completely block the wind outside, so you don't have to worry about freezing at night. Standing in front of the beautiful and spacious wooden house, people could not see that they were living on a deserted island, but rather like camping. On the first day of Chen Mo's official participation, their living standards have been greatly improved. The days that followed made them feel like they were in a dream. There is plenty of food every day and everyone is never hungry again. The newly built wooden house is warm at night. Each of them has a simple bed. At last, they can have a good sleep. Their food was not all provided by Chen Mo, and he could not go to the sea to fish for them every day. Fortunately, he was prepared for it. When he appeared in front of the crowd with several fishing rods, everyone's eyes looked like ghosts. Didn't they crash the plane? Didn't all the wreckage burn up? How can there be a fishing rod and still several? And the dagger Chen Mo used before is impossible to take on the plane. Where is it from? Fortunately, Su Wan didn't tell them about Chen Mo's spacious military tent, comfortable air-cushioned bed, and all kinds of fruits. Otherwise, they didn't know what they would be surprised at. Su Wan was also puzzled about this, but it was not good to ask Chen Mo directly. He was always confused. Finally, Chen Mo's words dispelled all their doubts. My boat sank nearby. Chen Mo didn't explain too much, but they helped him to complete his brain. He is a powerful killer. When he wants to relax after completing a certain task, he drives a yacht to the sea for vacation. The ship is equipped with a full range of wild survival materials and various kinds of food. The compressed biscuits, cans, tents, daggers, and various fruits that helped them before are all explained. After the ship accidentally sank nearby, he took part of the supplies and drifted to the island, just in time to meet them in the crash. As for the probability of such coincidence, there is no impossibility for those who survive the air crash. With the fishing rod provided by Chen Mo, the survivors can finally get enough food. Later, with the improvement of people's fishing technology, they don't even need all the staff to go out, and only half of them can basically guarantee enough food every day. No one thinks Chen Mo can catch big fish easily, but what's wrong with their hard fishing in the sun every day? After experiencing the previous sufferings, they know how precious the help of others is. No one will think that everything is right and no one is right. Chen Mo's help to them is only deep gratitude. Today's life is countless times better than before. This is what they didn't dare to think before. It's not easy to survive. However, there is still a bad thing happened. In fact, people have expected it for a long time. The old man's heart disease is very serious, and he needs to take medicine every day to maintain it. Fortunately, Su Wan has taken some with him, but even if he has been saving food, he has eaten it in less than a month. After that, he can only carry it hard. Even if you have been very careful, or from time to time will attack angina after all, still failed to last. It's less than a week before Chen Mo can cross the next world at the end of a month. The old man left quietly in his sleep. When Chen Mo got up in the morning, he felt that the heartbeat of the survivors' camp was one less. Chapter 134. After he arrived, he found that the old man had passed away. It was not painful to see the look on his face. It seemed that he left unconsciously in his sleep. After the arrival of Chen Mo, the survivors woke up one after another, and they were all sad to learn that the old man died. They survived together in the air crash. They struggled hard to survive on this desert island. Until recently, with the help of Chen Mo, their life began to improve. Even if the rescue could not come, they could also live a good life on the desert island. Seeing the hope of hard life, the old man failed to hold on to the end. Looking at the old man's body, everyone could not help but blush their eyes, and the two little girls were even more sad and shed tears. Although the old man seldom acts with them because of his poor health and their contact with the old man is not much, he is their mutual dependent companion after all. For life and death and separation, the two young girls have no psychological preparation and do not know how to face it. However, Su Wan, as the secretary of the old man, although she also shed tears and apricot eyes were red with tears, she didn't seem to have the hard acceptance of suddenly losing someone close to her, which made Chen Mo feel calm. It turns out that the old man's physical condition is already very poor. Even if he insists on taking medicine, according to the doctor, he is likely to get sick and die at any time. The doctor's original suggestion was to stay in hospital for a long time, but the old man didn't want to spend the last time of his life in the hospital bed. So, after handing over all the affairs of the company to his son, the old man started the last journey of his life with Su Wan and his bodyguard. But what they didn't expect was that God made a joke with them. The original Hawaii island holiday became a thrilling desert island for survival. The old man was also open-minded about this. He thought it was the arrangement of heaven. At the end of his life, he was able to survive in an air crash. Fortunately, he survived and experienced the hard life on a real and dangerous desert island. It's not a waste of his life, at least more interesting than his planned island holiday. At the end of life, everything has been opened and nothing can't be put down, so the old man walked peacefully. Although Su Wan was sad, she was ready to send the old man away this time. Although the old man left suddenly, it didn't make her hard to accept. But next, Su Wan is a little confused. Since graduation, she has been in the company of the old man. She has been working hard for several years. The old man also attaches great importance to her and has been training her. In her mind, the old man is not only her boss, but also her close elder. Now that the old man died, she didn't know what to do in the future. But then she thought that whether she could go back or not was not necessarily her current situation. What's the point of thinking about this? In any case, the elder who has been guiding her and leading her to grow has left, and the rest of the way needs her to go. With the intention of completing the last journey of life, the old man naturally told Su Wan about what happened after him. According to the old man's previous decision, people cremated his body and scattered ashes into the sea. So far, there are only 7 survivors, including Chen Mo on the desert island. After sorrow, life will go on. The life on the island has returned to the previous calm. The survivors fish and gather every day. They are busy and full. When the harvest is good, they can still rest in the camp in the afternoon. Without the threat of hunger and cold, the life on the island is not so hard. Another week passed, and Chen Mo's space finally changed again. Today, the survivors of the good harvest returned to the camp early. When a group of survivors are processing food in the camp and preparing dinner in advance in another camp, Chen Mo is standing on the open space in front of the tent, fully armed, slowly putting his consciousness into the space. The cube space with a side length of 5 meters has gradually become transparent. Through the space boundary, the familiar starry sky appears in front of Chen Mo again. Like the last time, this time out of space is still 2 bright light balls. They represent 2 spaces that can be shuttled. Chen Mo skillfully put his consciousness slowly on the first light ball. In the Night Legend world, Chen Mo's mental power has been greatly improved. At this time, the pictures he received in his mind are much clearer than last time, but they are still very fragmentary and chaotic. He can only see some fleeting pictures, but this is enough because in this large number of fragmentary pictures, the most common one is groups of ragged and hobbled figures, which is clearer than before. Chen Mo recognized them at a glance, the living dead or the zombies. They can be seen in cities, suburbs, roads, houses, and almost all places. It seems that the whole world has been completely occupied by them. With immortal body and perfect blood, Chen Mo is fearless of zombie virus, but he doesn't know the level of technological development in the world and the time he passed through. Chen Mo has seen a lot of zombie films. If it's the Biochemical Crisis series, then the technology of T-Virus and Umbrella Company has some value. If it's like I'm a Legend, after crossing the past, meeting him will be a world completely occupied by zombies, then this crossing will be meaningless. Other things like Zombie World War and Busan Trip have no value of crossing. Every crossing is precious to Chen Mo. Chenmo can't tell which movie world it is for the time being through the received pictures, but obviously it's not a last resort. Chenmo won't choose here. Taking back his consciousness, Chenmo put it on the remaining light ball. As soon as consciousness touched the ball of light, Chenmo felt a strange feeling of strangeness with some familiarity coming from the ball of light. As the picture came into his mind, Chenmo could not help but smile at the corner of his mouth, because he saw a golden and red cool figure flying in the sky. Iron Man. The special steel battle suit directly exposed everything to Chenmo. It is obvious that this light ball is connected to the world of Iron Man. As for which one, Chenmo is not clear for the moment, but there is no doubt that the steel battle suit is very useful to Chenmo at present. With it, Chenmo has the ability to leave the desert island at any time. After all, he can't stay on the desert island all the time. Even if the rescue comes, he can only hide and can't follow them to leave, because that will inevitably expose his identity and other means of transportation that can help him leave the desert island to land, are not the space he can accommodate now. It's not clear how long it will take for his space to expand enough, or get other more advanced means of transportation. With this steel battle suit, it's not the same. Let alone its combat and defense capabilities, its flight ability is no less than that of the powerful F-22 Raptor, with a flight speed of more than 2 Mach. Wearing it, Chenmo can go wherever he wants. What Chenmo is happy about is not only the ability to get a strong and advanced steel battle suit, but also the kind of familiarity he felt when he just touched the light ball. Although he didn't get more information from the pictures he received in his mind, Chenmo thought that the world might be the first world he went to. The continuation of Captain America world is a world of Iron Man changed by his own intervention, not the original movie world. Otherwise, it can't explain the strange, familiar, and strange feeling. Of course, these are just Chenmo's conjectures. He has to enter the world to test them. But since it's the world of Iron Man, Chenmo's present dress is not suitable. Consciousness exits the space. Chenmo takes off the armor mask on his head, takes off the holster with the pistol in his thigh, and enters the space together with the sword of the king and the gold shield. In this way, Chenmo looks like a tall young man in a black combat suit. Even if he appears in the city, he will not cause unnecessary trouble. Although the first 2 crossings were all in the place where no one was, Chenmo can't guarantee that this will be an exception. Be careful that some of them are always right. After finishing, Chenmo put his consciousness into the space again and could not wait to choose to cross. A flash of white light, Chenmo's figure disappeared in the open space in front of the tent. When Chenmo's figure reappears, it is in a huge office. Looking at this familiar place, Chenmo's corner of mouth couldn't help rising. This is the place where he left Captain America, the commander's office at the top secret base of Hydra, Norway. Everything here hasn't changed much since he left, even the location of things on the table. Just from the subtle traces, we can see that many things in the room have been changed. Bypassed as 2 peas in the table, Chenmo sat down on the same chair as before. It's not the old one, but it's more comfortable. Chenmo sat on the chair and looked at the familiar office carefully. He could not help feeling as if he were a stranger. Open a drawer Chenmo will put on the top of a document out. Although the paper has turned yellow, the handwriting on it is still clear. After a glance, Chenmo put it back. He can be sure that this is his previous office. This document was put in the drawer after he read it. He still remembers the contents of the document, which is absolutely right. And judging from the yellow degree of the paper, time should have passed for a long time. It seems that his guess is right. This world with Iron Man is developed from the original world of American Captain. It is no longer the original world of Iron Man movies, but I don't know how big the change will be compared with movies. Chenmo looks up at the desk. On the left side of the desk, there is a call machine. Each button on it corresponds to the person in charge of different departments of Hydra. Now the indicator light on the pager is on, indicating that it can be used normally. Without much hesitation, Chen Mo reached directly and pressed the leftmost call button. A name is printed on the label below the key. Eddie. With Chen Mo pressing the button of the pager, the old pager on the desk that had been silent for many years suddenly rang in another office not far away. Chapter 135. Sitting at the desk is a tall, blonde, middle-aged man, with a calm and elegant temperament, extraordinary momentum, a pair of deep blue eyes full of insightful indifference, giving a feeling more like a wise old man who has experienced vicissitudes. Just as the pager on the table sounded, his eyes, which had always been unsophisticated, suddenly fluctuated violently, and the whole person became excited and calm. Suddenly he stood up from the chair, and the middle-aged man's face could not help but show a trace of reminiscence. 70 years have you finally come back? Chen Mo pressed the pager for a short time, and a familiar but slightly hurried footsteps began to ring from afar. The footsteps stopped outside the door. Chen Mo could feel the rapid heartbeat and some heavy breathing of the people outside. After 2 seconds, the door of the office was slowly opened, and the middle-aged man came in a little uneasy. Seeing the familiar figure of middle-aged people, a smile could not help but emerge on Chen Mo's face. Eddie, long time no see. Looking at Chen Mo, who is sitting at the back of his desk, Albert suddenly calmed down. Master, you are back. Albert leaned slightly towards Chen Mo with a warm and kind face. May I make you a cup of coffee? Chen Mo can't help but think of the familiar aroma of coffee. A wisp of mellow fragrance seems to linger on the tip of his nose. Of course. Chen Mo nodded happily. Now that he's back, he's not in a hurry. He hasn't drunk the coffee made by old Eddie for many years. He really miss it. Soon, Albert returned to Chen Mo's desk with his coffee. Chen Mo noticed that on the tray was the exquisite set of pure silver relief coffee pot and matching coffee cup plate that he had been using before. Looking up at Eddie, who was pouring coffee into the cup, Chen Mo couldn't help smiling. This coffee pot is exactly what they used when they were in Liverpool. After Chen Mo left, Albert kept it carefully. Later, whether he went to the martial arts school in New York or the Hydra base in Norway, Albert always took them with him to ensure that Chen Mo could drink the mellow coffee made by himself at any time. The dark brown coffee poured out from the long and thin pot mouth and fell into the exquisite pure silver coffee cup with the rolling heat, and a strong coffee fragrance then drifted away. Chen Mo holds up the coffee cup, leans back comfortably in the chair, raises the cup to the mouth, and sips it comfortably. The familiar taste blooms again on Chen Mo's tongue. While drinking coffee, Chen Mo learned about the current situation of the world from Albert. It's 70 years since Chen Mo left last time. Since Chen Mo's departure, Albert has been in charge of the whole Hydra, with Dr. Zola and Colonel John at his side. The 9-headed snake's absolute loyalty and devout belief to Chen Mo made the process of Albert's upper position in power very smooth, and no one jumped out to seize power. All the hidden dangers and unstable elements have been cleared up by Chen Mo for a long time. What he left Albert was a huge organization that was extremely strong and loyal. According to Chen Mo's order, they have been deeply hidden in the dark. No one knows their existence, but their power is all over the world. Norway, where the top secret base is located, is completely controlled by Hydra in the dark. The whole Norway can be said to be their base camp. In addition, Hydra's tentacles reach the top of every country, and almost every country's politicians have their personnel, especially in European countries. In addition to Norway, which is completely controlled from top to bottom, Hydra has penetrated into many countries to the extent that it can control the national political situation. Who would have thought that the Hydra, hidden in the dark and unknown, has the terrorist ability to affect the situation of the whole Earth? With the powerful technological power they have, if Hydra is still controlled by the ambitious people like Red Skull Schmidt, It will be a huge disaster for the whole world, because with the terrorist power of Hydra, it is not difficult to rule the world. Fortunately, Hydra has been under the control of Chen Mo, and his ideal is world peace. In fact, in the past 70 years, the scientific and technological development of Hydra is not fast. Dr. Zola's research seems to encounter a bottleneck. In addition to energy weapons, the gap between Hydra's overall scientific and technological strength and that of other countries has not been widened, but has been continuously shortened in the past 70 years. Nevertheless, they still maintain the leading edge of science and technology over 20 years of other countries. The specific situation in this regard needs Dr. Zola to introduce himself, but he is not here at this time. Before he left, Chen Mo injected Albert with the improved super soldier serum. Under the strengthening of the serum, Albert, who was in his 60s, not only recovered to his 40s in appearance, but also gained 3 times the physical quality of ordinary people, and his life expectancy was greatly increased. But after all, it is not eternal life. His body will grow old slowly, only several times slower than ordinary people. Now, 70 years later, his appearance hasn't changed much. He still looks less than 50 years old. It turns out that in addition to Albert, Dr. Zola and Colonel John also received serum fortification later. While Chen Mo left his super soldier serum, he also told him the effect of fortification. He could pause life consumption through freezing, so Albert III took turns to freeze, leaving only one person in charge of Hydra at a time, once in 20 years. 20 years is not too long for them who have greatly increased their lifespan after serum strengthening. Albert remembers that Chen Mo once said that he would come back in 70 years, so he chose to stay outside the first time, so the next time it was his turn. It was exactly the time Chen Mo said to return, and he would personally welcome Chen Mo back. He has been waiting for the day since it was thawed 10 years ago. To this day, he finally waited. At the beginning, Chen Mo not only gave Albert several fortified sera, but also gave him the formula of improved sera. At that time, the original group of Hydra members were very firm in their loyalty to Chen Mo, and Chen Mo did not intend to let them grow old in the passage of time. According to the instructions left by Chen Mo, after the Hydra developed stably, Albert gradually strengthened their serum and frozen them. Now, this powerful super soldier army sleeps in the freezer under the top secret base, waiting for their leader to wake them up at any time. At that time, they will take up arms again and fight for the god they believe in. Chen Mo gave them a new name, Winter Warrior. However, Chen Mo didn't wake up their intention this time. In addition to not wanting these loyal people to die in vain, Chen Mo also wanted to make preparations in advance to deal with the powerful extraterrestrial forces such as Cherita people who might invade the Earth in the future. Not only the first group of Hydra members, although Chen Mo left, he was still the spiritual symbol and belief of Hydra. As long as the Hydra soldiers recruited later passed the test and were loyal enough to Chen Mo and Hydra, they would be strengthened and frozen at the right time to become a member of the Winter Soldiers. Hydra has its own set of perfect selection, training, inspection, and testing mechanism, which can ensure the loyalty of each Hydra member, while the selection of Winter Warriors is more strict, and their loyalty has no problem. Chen Mo is very satisfied with the development of Hydra. As for the development of science and technology, Chen Mo has long predicted that if it is so simple and only takes time to study, it will be very simple. He can stay in the world of night legend for hundreds of thousands of years. Anyway, he has unlimited life, but it is estimated that what he finally gets is only some advanced ordinary technology, and the powerful technology in those movies is not so simple to research. Many technologies are unique to the movie world. Black technologies such as super soldier serum, space portal, Transformers, and Gotha can never be researched in time. This is also the significance of Chen Mo's continuous shuttle in each world, to obtain the top technologies and treasures in each world, so as to strengthen himself and improve his own strength. And the first goal of his crossing is steel battle clothes. What is the development of Shendun Bureau now? Chen Mo asked after a sip of coffee. Their current name is Homeland Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Bureau, which is under the supervision of the International Security Council and is responsible for dealing with all kinds of strange events in the world. The current director is Nick Fry. The Hydra's penetration into the shield is beyond everyone's imagination. Albert knows the situation of the shield as well as his fingers. The secret shield is under the control of Colonel Phillips, Agent Carter, Steve, Howard, and Dr. Erskine in turn. They have feigned death in the decades since you left. They are now mostly in frozen dormancy. Howard is in charge of the shield. Chen Mo can't help but smile when he hears the words. It's hard to imagine how Howard, an unreliable guy, managed the shield bureau. What is Howard's son doing now? Chen Mo asked his most concerned questions. Tony Stark, a weapons genius playboy Howard who feigned his death as an adult, inherited the Stark industry and continued to grow. Now he is. Albert paused, took out a smartphone from his pocket, quickly operated it and looked up at Chen Mo. Chasing girls. As expected, my godson became a playboy just like in the movie. Chapter 136. How are Huang Quan and Wang Kun doing? Chen Mo is still very concerned about his men. Huang Quan, Han Qing, Luo Zhen, and Baji Barnes are now core members of Shendun Bureau. They have also received serum fortification. They have frozen together with Steve 5 people and come to life in turn. As the deputy and the commander of special forces, they help the director to manage Shendun Bureau. Now Huang Quan is the partner with Howard. Chen Mo nodded softly. With Howard's unreliable character, it's really hard to rest assured. It's safer to have a steady Huang Quan to assist and supervise. Needless to say, this must be Colonel Phillips's arrangement. Wang Kun's gang of 7 commandments has developed rapidly. Now it's all over the U.S. and some countries around it have also radiated. New York as the base camp is the solid soup he manages, but he hasn't frozen it all the time. The old one is faster. Now it looks like it's not much worse than me. When Chen Mo heard this, he couldn't help laughing. When he was in the martial arts school, Albert was in his 60s. His hair was gray, and Wang Kun was a young man in his 30s. If they stood together, they would look a generation worse. Now 70 years later, old Albert is younger, but Wang Kun is older. Instead, they become peers. Now his great-grandson is in his 20s. I sent him some fortified serum as you ordered. His family strengthened it. Now his son is in charge of the 7 Commandments sect. He stays in the martial arts school to drink tea and teach his great-grandson to practice martial arts every day. Chen Mo can't help but be happy. This guy really thinks he's a centenarian, so he's retiring for the rest of his life. There was also a smile on Albert's face, and he went on. Plus, 16 years ago, when Steve and Carter were in charge of the shield, they had a daughter, Sharon Rogers, a beautiful little girl. Chen Mo can't help but be very happy when he hears the words. Under his interference, the two of them finally changed their original fate and came together. Now they even have their daughter, which makes him feel very happy. Hearing this, Chen Mo looks up at Albert and wants to hear about her. Albert clearly felt the meaning of Chen Mo and continued. 10 years ago, Steve and Carter were frozen again, and Sharon was raised because she was too young to inject super soldier serum. Now, she's in high school. Chen Mo could not help frowning at the words. Why don't they stay outside and raise her? Albert continued to explain. 50 years ago, after the end of their term of office in the Shield Bureau, they both feigned to escape together in a mission of Homeland Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Bureau, so they can no longer appear in front of ordinary people, nor can they give Sharon a normal life. They hope Sharon will grow up among ordinary people, and they plan to tell her the truth when she grows up here. Albert's tone changes, a little serious. The children of Shendon Bureau need to be tempered. That must have been Steve's stupid talk. Albert smelt speech to smile, did not refute but seemed to think of what, looking at Chen Mo some words and stops. Just. Chen Mo looks at Albert and waits quietly for his next words. Albert's expression seemed to be a little tangled, and after a slight sigh he said slowly, "They seem to have made a mistake in choosing a new guardian for Sharon." Hearing this, Chen Mo can't help being curious about the guardian selected by Steve. He can be selected by the stereotype Steve. He should be a very reliable person. "Who is it?" Chen Mo asked curiously. Albert looked into Chen Mo's eyes and said a name slowly. "Tony Stark." Chen Mo can't help but cover his forehead. "This fool." Chen Mo couldn't help swearing and then looked suspiciously at Albert. "Steve's brain is broken. Carter will not be confused, will he?" In the face of Chen Mo's incomprehension, Albert looked at him helplessly and said with some sigh, "Tony was a good boy then." Chen Mo shook his head helplessly. He couldn't imagine how Tony in his 20s looked after Sharon in his 60s. It seems that he has time to visit her. Tony is really not at ease. The two poor children, who were also trapped by their own father, became orphans for some reason and lived together. Chen Mo is very curious about what they will look like when they see their parents again. Is Tony going to kill Howard alive? "You lied to me by pretending to die, and finally you threw a 6-year-old girl to me." I don't care about children. I want to pick up girls, okay? However, if there is no steel battle suit, Tony seems not Howard's opponent. It seems necessary to strengthen Tony's serum first. Chen Mo is looking forward to Howard being beaten by his son. At the same time, on the other side, the SHIELD headquarters in New York. Sneeze. Howard, who was busy in the lab, suddenly sneezed a lot. When his hand shook, a white smoke came out and a piece of material on the bench was directly discarded. Watching hours of busyness vanish, Howard can't help cursing. "Damn it, we have to start again." Norway, top secret base of Hydra. In the office, Chen Mo put down his coffee cup and fell into deep thought. According to what he learned from Albert, Chen Mo found that although the world has changed a lot through his own influence, at least on the surface, it is still not very different from the background of the movie Iron Man. Tony Stark is still a weapon genius. He lost his father when he was a child. After taking over Stark Industry, Obadiah Stine, the company's elder, still assisted him to manage and run the company. His assistant Pepper Potts, driver Hogan, and good friend Colonel James Roddy are no different from those in the video. It seems that everything has been corrected under an invisible force. Chen Mo guesses that this is probably because of the particularity of the movie space. Even if the front plot is changed, the back will still develop according to the original plot. Of course, there is a limit to this correction, and it will not completely return to the original appearance. Just try to correct the offset trajectory. If possible, this shift is beyond the limits that the world can correct and will not change. For example, the change of fate track of Steve and others, the development of Hydra, Shendon Bureau and Kiji Gang have exceeded the limit that the world can modify, so there is no change. But Tony's birth, Obadiah, Pepper and James are still developing according to the original track, not affected by the butterfly effect. After all, this is not the ordinary world of difference, but the world of film. The plot can be changed, but others that have not been changed or have not yet happened will continue to follow the plot as much as possible. In fact, this is a good thing for Chen Mo, so that his biggest advantage in the movie world, the foresight brought by knowing the plot, will not disappear completely because of the previous changes. Of course, like the Legend of the Night world, the world that Chen Mo completely overthrows the original plot, the future development is unpredictable. Thinking of this, Chen Mo suddenly looks at Albert and asks curiously, "How did Steve and Howard feign death?" Albert wondered why Chen Mo thought of asking this, but he replied directly, Howard and his wife were killed in a car accident. At this point, Albert paused for a moment, looked at Chen Mo, and then went on with a funny look. And Steve, in memory of you, chose a plane to fall into the sea. Chen Mo only feels deep speechless when he hears the words. I don't think he can think of any better way to die. This son of a bitch, you should learn from me even if you pretend to be dead. However, it must be very interesting for the Shendan bureaucrats to die in this way, but Chen Mo failed to witness it. As for Colonel Phillips, Chen Mo doesn't need to guess. This old-fashioned old guy must have chosen to die. Who makes him the oldest? He can declare his death by going to bed and sleeping in 10 or 20 years. He doesn't need to be as troublesome as Steve and them. He has to think of a proper way to die and make an accident carefully. After the coffee, Chen Mo also has a basic understanding of the current situation. Like the previous two journeys, the plot of Iron Man has not yet started, and Chen Mo has enough time to prepare. The beginning of the movie Iron Man is also an important turning point in Tony's life. It began when he went to Afghanistan to show the newly developed Jericho missile for the U.S. Army in Afghanistan, and was kidnapped by the terrorist organization, the 10th Ring Gang. But now, according to the information obtained by Hydra, although the Jericho missile has been developed, Tony has not yet made a schedule for weapons display in Afghanistan, and the military has not received such information. So, at least for a short time, Tony will not go to Afghanistan, and Chen Mo has plenty of time to prepare. Something else seemed to come to mind, Albert added. The list you gave me before you left has been found and recruited into Hydra. After strict training, their loyalty has no problem. As you said, they are really rare talents. Chen Mo nodded after listening. Very well. At the beginning, none of the people on the list were so easy to find, let alone recruit Hydra. Albert must have paid no less attention to it. Shall I wake Dr. Zola and Colonel John up? All aspects of the situation have been basically introduced. Albert looked at Chen and asked. Chen Mo nodded softly. Go. When Dr. Zola and Colonel John woke up, they learned that Chen Mo had finally returned. Chapter 137. Although they had just been released from the freezing state, they were still very weak. They first met Chen Mo in his commander's office. Seeing the great and familiar figure sitting at the back of the desk, they were both excited. 70 years later, their god finally came back. The two, who were still weak, seemed to recover all their strength in an instant. They stood up straight and raised their hands straight up and forward, shouting the slogan that had not been shouted for a long time. Long live the Hydra! In their mind, Chen Mo is a Hydra, a god. Listening to the familiar slogan, Chen Mo's cold and dignified face also showed a light smile. Chen Mo spent 2 days at the Hydra base, during which, in addition to a more detailed understanding of the current situation of the world and the specific situation of Hydra, he also listened to Dr. Zola's report. Although the technology of Hydra has developed slowly in the past 70 years, it still exceeds that of other countries for at least 20 years. The technology of Hydra is much more advanced in aircraft, automobile, tank, ship, missile, mechanical equipment, electronic technology, etc. Norway, under the control of Hydra, is no less powerful in science, technology and military power than other big countries, even more powerful in some aspects, especially in shipbuilding and industry. However, Norway has always adhered to the principle of neutrality and kept a low profile, which has not been regarded as a threat by all countries. In addition to these basic technologies, the most powerful force Hydra possesses is energy weapons. According to the list left by Chen Mo before he left, Albert found and recruited Anton Vank from the former Soviet Union. He is a very excellent top scientist with strong energy and mechanical capabilities, not inferior to Howard. With his help, the optimization and improvement of energy weapons have made great progress. Energy rifles and pistols have been reduced to the size of ordinary guns, and their power has not decreased, but increased a lot. The charging time of each launch room is also shortened by a large section, and the problem of the maximum firing rate before is finally solved. At the same time, the storage device used to store the energy transformed from the magic cube of the universe has been greatly optimized. After the energy is compressed, the storage unit of the same volume now stores more than 10 times the original energy. Before, an energy cartridge can supply energy pistol to launch hundreds of times, but now the new energy pistol with greater power can launch thousands of times in a row, which is enough to deal with any battle. Basically, there will be no situation that there is no bullet in the gun and it needs to be replaced. In fact, this new energy storage device does not play a great role in energy weapons. After all, the energy reserve of hundreds of engines is enough, but it plays a greater role in heavy weapons such as aircraft, tanks, ships, etc. It solves the problem of energy supply and greatly strengthens the endurance and firepower sustainability of these weapons. Let them be like nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, able to carry out long-term and high-intensity operations. They don't need to be like ordinary aircraft and tanks. After arriving at the battle area, they have not been fighting for a long time, so they will run out of fuel and ammunition, and will not be able to carry out sustained and fierce combat at all. This is good news for Chenmo. Energy is the basis of weapons and equipment. A strong weapon can't do without sufficient energy supply. Tony's steel battle suit was developed on the basis of the small arc reactor he made. Without the arc reactor, the steel battle suit is a pile of scrap iron. After listening to Dr. Zola's report, Chenmo, accompanied by him and Colonel John, went to an extremely extensive weapon test site deep in the top-secret base. In this vast area of space, there are all kinds of advanced tanks, armored vehicles, helicopters, artillery, and other heavy weapons, but Chenmo doesn't have time to understand them one by one. They come directly to the energy weapons test area. Here, Chenmo sees the latest energy weapons. The new NS7 energy pistol looks no different from the ordinary pistol in appearance. It is similar to the Desert Eagle in some aspects, but its shape is cooler. The black gun has clear edges and corners, hard and firm lines, and has a strong sense of technology. Chenmo picked up 2 energy pistols. A little heavy hand to Chenmo said it was very comfortable. Standing behind Chenmo, Dr. Zola began to give him a detailed introduction. The NS7 energy pistol based on the NS2 has been upgraded many times, and now its performance is very strong, Zola said proudly. The charging process of the bullet launching room is greatly optimized, and the time is greatly shortened. The firing speed can reach 600 rounds per minute, and the effective range is 300 meters. The energy of the new storage device is highly compressed. An energy cartridge can continuously launch 5,000 energy bullets, and the attack power is also improved. After listening to Dr. Zola's introduction, Chenmo picked up 2 dark and handsome energy pistols on the table and came to the test target. Dr. Zola made a quick operation on the nearby operation panel, and many targets rose rapidly in the open target area opposite, stretching from 50 meters to 300 meters. In addition to the specially made humanoid target with the same strength as human body, several cross-country vehicles and armored vehicles have risen from the ground, and even a thick concrete wall has been raised 200 meters away, which basically restores the real battlefield environment. Chenmo raised his 2 guns, quickly pulled the trigger with both hands, and a series of blue energy bullets shot towards the opposite target. When a personal target is hit by an energy bullet, it immediately turns into a piece of fly ash, and dozens of personal targets in the field are quickly wiped out by Chenmo. Chenmo can't help nodding secretly. The shooting speed of the new energy pistol has indeed increased a lot. Although the shooting speed of the new energy pistol is not as fast as that of the ordinary pistol due to the short charging time, it can basically meet Chen Mo's needs. Last time when hundreds of werewolves attacked in the legendary world of the night, if there were these two energy pistols, those werewolves could not get close to the knights. They had been killed by Chen Mo before they could reach half the distance. After eliminating all the humanoid targets, Chen Mo did not pause at all and continued to aim the muzzle at the remaining targets. One energy bullet hit an off-road vehicle, and the blue energy burst out, instantly turning the off-road vehicle into a burning fireball, and then two bullets hit, directly blasting the burning off-road vehicle into a pile of debris. The heavy armored car didn't last for a long time. The blue energy beams poured down like raindrops, continuously and intensively. Under the bombardment of the energy bullets, the solid armor quickly deformed, even turned red and melted, and soon lost its defense. It was penetrated by the energy bullets and shot into the armored car. The whole two armored cars began to burn violently in the explosion get up. However, Chen Mo did not stop at this point. Although it had been broken, the main body of the armored vehicle was still intact. Chen Mo kept his hands, and concentrated energy bullets continued to pour onto the armored vehicle. The tires were blown away, the doors were torn, and the heavy armor with strong defense was completely destroyed under the fierce attack. Finally, like an off-road vehicle, it became a pile of scattered steel debris bones. Melting steel and torn armor spread all over the surrounding ground, which was extremely fierce under the blazing fire. The rest of the concrete walls became Chen Mo's next target. Hard concrete blocks constantly crashed from the wall under the bombardment of the energy beam, leaving a basin-sized pit. Like rain washing the soil, the thick concrete wall was quickly broken up, and soon it was completely leveled, leaving only a ground of concrete fragments and the rolling smoke and dust in the air. Just now, there was a full space. In a flash, there was only one piece of debris left. In just a few tens of seconds, Chen Mo pulled thousands of trigger, fired more than 1,000 energy bullets without pause, and wiped out all the targets in front of him. Through the shooting just now, Chen Mo also has a comprehensive understanding of the performance and power of this new energy pistol. This new type of pistol can basically meet Chen Mo's combat needs. Even in the case of large-scale mechanized forces, it has the power of World War I, so there is no need to avoid it. However, from its attack on armored vehicles just now, this kind of energy pistol is not powerful enough in the face of heavy armor. Most of the time and firepower just now were spent on armored vehicles. Although it didn't take too long to break the armored vehicle's defense and destroy the interior, Chen Mo later found that some thicker parts of the armor were hard to break and took a long time to attack the armored vehicle. It can be seen that the energy pistol had some strength against the heavy armor. However, in general, this NS7 energy pistol is very good. After all, it is a pistol. Its main target is a large number of non-armored targets. In addition to heavy armor like tanks, other armored vehicles, buildings and individual units can be easily destroyed and destroyed. Two pistols were put into the space directly. Chen Mo took several energy clips from the table for backup. Then Chen Mo looks at another weapon on the table. This is a rifle with a total length of more than 70 cm. Its appearance is also painted in black. Its shape is heavier than that of ordinary rifle. The same strong and technological lines make the whole rifle more masculine and powerful. This is the NB7 energy rifle. It has the same shooting speed and fire endurance as the pistol. The main difference is in power, range, and accuracy. See Chen Mo looking at the rifle, Dr. Zola immediately introduced. With it, you can make up for the energy pistol. The NB7 energy rifle is very powerful. Chapter 138. Dr. Zola said excitedly with a hot look in his eyes. Each attack contains about 5 times the energy of the NS7 energy pistol, and it is more concentrated and destructive to heavy armor. In range, it has an effective attack distance of more than 1 kilometer, and even though its power will decrease a little beyond 1,000 meters, it still has a strong killing power. In addition, its shooting accuracy is very good, no less than any sniper rifle, and it is very little affected by the wind and other external environment. Dr. Zola finished, clicked on the control panel, and 200 meters away from them, a huge steel monster slowly rose under the ground. This is a heavy tank 10 meters long, nearly 3 meters high, with a long, thick barrel. This is an old tank that we have eliminated. Its armor defense performance is better than the latest main battle tank in the United States, Dr. Zola said. Chenmo nodded, no nonsense, directly raised the energy rifle, aimed at the target and quickly pulled the trigger. A more dazzling blue beam was shot from the muzzle of many guns thicker than the NS7 pistol, which immediately crossed a distance of 200 meters and hit the broad and strong steel tracks of heavy tanks. A blue light explodes on the track, the heavy track is directly broken, and the lower part falls heavily on the ground under the effect of gravity, making a loud sound. Wow! Bang! The second beam directly hit the tank's heaviest front armor. Huge energy burst out on the armor, and a deep pit with the depth of more than 20 cm and the size of human head burst out on the hard special alloy armor in an instant. Although Chen Mo was not able to directly break the tank armor, he was still satisfied with the effect. After all, it was a gun, not a gun, or an anti-tank missile with limited penetration. It was able to blast such a deep hole on the hard special alloy, which was no less powerful than a small caliber gun. The third beam hit exactly the same position as before, further expanding the damage on the armor. The fourth light beam then came, and finally broke through the armor on the basis of the first 2 rounds. The inside of the tank burned in a dull explosion, and smoke began to roll out from the cracks. Chen Mo turned the muzzle again and aimed at the armor on the side of the tank. This time, the dazzling blue light directly penetrated the armor, tearing a big hole in the top. It can be seen that as long as it is not the front armor with the strongest hard defense, whether it is attacking the track or weak defense, it can paralyze it with one strike or even destroy the internal personnel directly. Chen Mo did not continue to attack but nodded his head with satisfaction and directly put the rifle into the space, and also collected some more energy clips as a reserve. Later, Chen Mo looked at Dr. Zola again. Are there conventional weapons? When Dr. Zola heard this, he did not respond for a moment. Instead, Colonel John, who had been standing upright by, spoke. Sir, we have Kongsberg K1 military pistol produced by Norwegian military factory. As John said this, he turned around and walked to the weapon rack beside him. He took a black pistol from it. This pistol was actually designed by our weapons department and secretly provided to the Norwegian military. Its performance is the strongest of all pistols at present. Hydra is a kind of energy weapon equipped directly inside, which can't use conventional guns at all. However, field personnel, including intelligence personnel, secret agents, spies, etc., who perform tasks outside, need a kind of ordinary weapon that doesn't attract people's attention. As a result, the pistol was produced by the Norwegian military and equipped with Norwegian troops. In order to avoid doubt, this kind of gun is also sold to the outside world, and it is favored and sought after by special forces and military enthusiasts in various countries with its excellent performance. It's just that its price is outrageous. Even the wealthiest United States is equipped with only a few top special forces, including the Secret Service, which is responsible for the security of the president. It is also equipped with this kind of pistol. Many rich people and military enthusiasts who like guns are competing to collect. It's the dream of every gun user to have a Kongsberg K1 pistol in Norway, but its high price makes most people flinch. However, it still can't stop people's pursuit of it. After all, its performance is so excellent that no other pistol can match it. This is a worthy king of pistols. Chen-mo takes the pistol from John. It looks similar to the Model 92F of Beretta. It's strong and powerful. This gun uses a 9mm bullet with a cartridge capacity of 15 rounds, a total length of 217, an empty gun weight of 96 kg, an initial speed of 420 ms/s, and an effective range of 100 m. Colonel John introduced Chen-mo. Its shooting accuracy is very high, and its failure rate is very low. It has a strong adaptability in polar, desert, jungle, and other extreme environments and complex climate conditions. It can still be used normally under severe combat conditions such as low temperature, sandstorm, dust, mud, and water to ensure all-weather operations. Chen-mo tried it himself again. It's really a lot stronger than the M1911 pistol he used originally, and it has a very good handling. It's worthy of being produced by Hydra and the King of Pistols. Although the power of the energy pistol is more powerful, it can't be easily shown in front of people. Moreover, if it is only to deal with ordinary enemies, the conventional weapons are not very different from the energy pistol. In fact, Chen-mo's shooting method is the same. As for the clip capacity, for Chen-mo, who has space and can change the clip in an instant, there is no impact. Therefore, energy weapons are still used as the base card and are not easy to use. Conventional firearms are the main weapons he usually uses. Chen-mo was very satisfied with the performance of the pistol and directly put it into the income space, turned around and told John, 3 more pistols and 10 boxes full of magazines to my office. After the expansion of space, Chen-mo has enough gas to carry a large number of ammunition, 125 cubic meters of space. These things can't occupy much space at all. Yes, sir, said Colonel John. Nodded his head. Chen-mo left the weapon test ground directly. Due to the limited time, Chen-mo didn't spend much time to understand the current various new equipment of Hydra and the specific situation of various technologies. There will be time in the future. Now, Chen-mo has more important things to do. In the Scandinavian mountains in northwest Norway, there are endless rolling mountains. The top of the mountain is covered with thick ice and snow. It is primitive, vast, and desolate. More than 10 kilometers away from the west coast, at the end of a long and deep fjord, there is a huge and precipitous mountain. Almost the whole mountain is covered with snow, standing quietly in the mountains. The cold wind blows over the mountain, rolling up the crystal snow. All of a sudden, a piece of snow suddenly fell off the edge of an exposed rock on the mountain. Then, the huge rock that seemed to be integrated with the mountain began to move slowly. Soon, as the rock was completely opened, a hidden runway appeared. A black fighter with a sci-fi appearance, completely different from any other aircraft in various countries, sped out of the hole and flew in the direction of the West Sea at an extremely fast speed. The open rocks on the mountain closed slowly and soon recovered to the previous state. Except for a small piece of snow falling nearby, there was no difference from the previous, and no abnormality was seen at all. After just 2 days at the Norwegian base, Chen-mo left the base in a fighter plane accompanied by Colonel John. The latest Hydra, which uses cosmic cube energy as its energy source, has a flight speed of more than Mach 5. It belongs to the ultra-high-speed fighter. In only half an hour, the fighter will span more than 2,000 kilometers and reach Chen-mo's destination. Looking out through the cockpit glass, we can see a vast expanse of ice at the bottom right, connecting with the vast blue sea here. This is located in the southernmost part of Greenland, where the land meets the sea. Due to the cold climate, the sea is covered with thick ice for many years. Under the hard ice, Chen Mo sank into the sea with her own hands, the Valkyrie. The black hydra of science fiction began to slow down, and the propeller at the tail slowly rotated downward, switching to the vertical takeoff and landing mode. In the blizzard of the propeller, the hydra slowly and steadily landed on the ice sheet near the sea. Hiss! The sealed cabin opened slowly. Chen Mo stood up in the cockpit and jumped directly from the plane to the snow. Colonel John, the captain of the guard, followed Chen Mo closely, jumped out of the plane and walked to him. Take a palm-sized tablet out of your jacket pocket. After a few operations, a clear satellite map is displayed on the screen. A green light spot on the map is flashing, which represents their current position. At the depth of the ice sheet hundreds of meters away from them, a huge triangular plane outline is clearly outlined with red lines. Pass the tablet in his hand to Chen Mo, said John respectfully. Sir, according to the satellite scan, the Valkyrie is more than 300 meters north of us, but it's completely covered with ice. Chen Mo takes over the tablet computer and looks at the familiar outline of the plane on it. He can't help sighing. 70 years ago, he ended here. Now he will start again here. Chen Mo looks at the data displayed on the tablet computer in his hand. The thickness of the ice, the depth of the plane sinking, and the damage of the plane's body are all clearly displayed on it. Chapter 139. After mastering the situation of the Valkyrie, Chen Mo directly put the tablet computer into the space and turned to the ice cliff at the junction of the ice field and the sea. You go back first and do everything according to the plan, Chen Mo said as he walked forward. Yes, sir, John answered immediately. Under his watch, Chen Mo strode to the ice cliff, glanced at the sea with a large number of ice floes scattered below, and then jumped directly forward from the ice cliff more than 20 meters high. Pu Tong! Chen Mo's falling body precisely avoided the scattered ice floes and fell into the cold water, splashing a high spray. Seeing Chen Mo jump down the ice cliff, John's dark color doesn't change at all. He directly follows Chen Mo's order and gets back on the plane. The hood of the cockpit opened slowly closed. The engine of the Hydra again spewed light blue flame, and the snow on the ground was blown by the strong airflow, flying all over the sky. The Hydra slowly left the ground, began to accelerate its liftoff, and soon rose to a height of tens of meters and turned its nose towards the direction of the coming. Then the thruster at the tail of the fighter slowly rotates backward, and at the same time a stronger flame is ejected, which pushes the fighter to accelerate forward, and it soon flies into the sky and disappears. At this time, Chen Mo is continuing to dive down the ice cliff. Under the sea water, the huge blue glacier is like a huge wall, extending infinitely to both sides, blocking the sea water from the ice wall. Under the ice wall, it extended to the bottom of the sea. Chen Mo dived nearly 20 meters along the ice and finally reached the bottom of the ice. Stop diving. Chen Mo turns around and heads for the lower reaches of the ice sheet. Under the ice sheet, he is like being in an inverted world. The jagged ice surface is like a rugged land, occupying Chen Mo's whole vision. At a glance, he can't see the end. Chen Mo's body, like a swimming fish, travels in the sea and swims towards the deep ice cap at an extremely fast speed. In fact, for ordinary people, Chen Mo's behavior at this time is very dangerous. The ice sheet above his head, which is tens of meters thick, can't float directly out of the sea. If you want to breathe out of the water, you can only return by the way. So the deeper you go under the ice sheet, the more dangerous it is. Not only the increase of distance, the world under the ice is monotonous and vast. Without the direction indicated by the reference, it is easy to get lost under the water. When you want to withdraw, you can't find the direction to go back. Instead, you swim farther and farther until the oxygen is exhausted and you are borne under the water and suffocate. Even if you don't lose your way, you must return in time when you have enough oxygen. If you go too deep into the ice sheet and don't return until you find that you don't have enough oxygen, you may not be able to swim out of the ice sheet and suffocate on the way back. However, Chenmo has been prepared for this for a long time, not to mention his own strong physical quality, which is enough to support his long-term underwater activities. In the space, he has specially prepared enough oxygen bottles to meet the unexpected needs and ensure that he has sufficient oxygen supply. After swimming hundreds of meters under the ice, the same scene finally changed, and a large black metal body appeared in front of Chenmo. Valkyrie. At the beginning, Chenmo drove the Valkyrie to fall near the glacier and sank into the sea, which was frozen in the ice. It's just that it's not completely covered by ice. As Chenmo sees at the moment, it's a huge and incomparable section, with a wing of more than 30 meters long slanting out of the upper ice sheet and into the water below. This is part of the huge wing of the mighty Valkyrie. After finding the target, Chenmo swam directly to the wing. After several circles around the wing of this huge building, Chenmo soon found a damaged hole under the wing. Take out a waterproof flashlight from the space. Chenmo turns on the switch, and a bright and dazzling light beam shoots from the flashlight, which makes the originally slightly dark space suddenly bright. Then, without any hesitation, Chenmo swam directly to the hole and went in from here. The dark interior of the plane is illuminated by a strong flashlight, and Chenmo can see the scene clearly. Inside the wing, already filled with sea water, there are huge steel skeletons crisscrossed to support the wing. Through the solid steel skeleton, Chenmo entered the interior of the plane and swam along the passage towards the upper cabin. Soon, Chenmo was blocked by an ice wall, above which was the cabin of the Valkyrie. Chenmo had to stop for a while when his way was blocked. At this time, it's several minutes since Chenmo jumped into the sea. Although he doesn't feel lack of oxygen, he can continue for a while. Chenmo still takes out the oxygen bottle from the space and replenishes the oxygen in his body. Put away the oxygen cylinder. Chenmo looked up again at the ice above, and at the same time his right hand extended forward, and the sword of the king appeared in his hand in an instant. Next, Chenmo began to make ice. Under the sharp sword of the king, the hard ice was cut down like tofu. Then, Chenmo got into the space. Soon, he dug out a channel with a diameter of more than 1 meter and continued to go deep above the ice. The ice inside the Valkyrie is so deep that Chenmo dug up nearly 10 meters to reach the end. With Chenmo's last sword, he cut off a large piece of solid ice, and the passage finally penetrated. But on the thick ice, there was no sea water. When the Valkyrie sank into the sea, the overall airtightness was not greatly damaged. The sea water flowed into the aircraft from the damaged wing and other places, but did not fill the whole aircraft but formed an air chamber in the upper cabin. Later, when the plane was frozen in the ice, the sea water under the air chamber froze, forming the ice wall that Chen had just met, completely blocking the engine room. Seeing the passage open, Chenmo put away the sword of the king, climbed up from the hole and entered the cabin. The bright flashlight lights up the interior of the cabin. Chenmo looks around carefully and confirms his position. Then he steps on the smooth ice under his feet and goes in one direction. Coming to the edge of the ice, Chenmo saw a nearly 30-degree slope in front of him. Here is the original ground of the engine room. Only because the plane sank into the sea, the body tilted, one wing cocked, and the other side sank, so the ground inside the engine room formed a slope of about 30 degrees. After 70 years of ice in the sea, the bulkheads in the ground are all covered with thick ice, and the slope caused by the aircraft's tilt is not easy to walk, but it is not difficult for Chenmo, who is quick. But instead of going straight ahead, he stopped in front of the slope. He took off his wet combat suit and put it into space. Chenmo changed into Edelman armor and a set of black combat suit with battle marks. He also put on the original M1911 pistol, gold vibrating shield and other equipment, and completely recovered to the original state when he left. After confirming that there was nothing missing, Chen Mo stepped on the slope and walked along the passage to the control room of the Valkyrie. It took a few minutes for Chen Mo to reach the control room. It's not much different from the scene when I just came here. The whole aircraft control room is completely covered with ice. At the beginning, Baron Straker set a trap to trap him, but the original steel cage has become an ice cage, and several sections of steel columns cut by him have also been frozen on the ground. Looking at the familiar and unfamiliar environment, Chen Mo carefully came to the console. There was also a thick layer of frost on the broad driver's seat. Chen Mo cleans all the ice on the seat into the space, and then sits on it. Then Chen Mo took a black box the size of a backpack out of the space and threw it into the air. Throwing it in the air, 1 meter away from Chen Mo, a blue light suddenly lit up on the top of the box. Then, its 4 corners quickly extended outward and opened, extending 4 arms. At the same time, the end of the 4 arms began to spray light blue flame, pushing it to suspend in the air smoothly. It turned out to be a small folding aircraft. After throwing out the aircraft, Chen Mo took out another tablet computer from the space and operated it. Hovering in the air, the aircraft turned under Chen Mo's control, flew back along the coming route, and soon returned to the top of the ice hole that Chen Mo had dug. As Chen Mo gave the order, a scanning device slowly stretched out from the bottom of the aircraft, and a red light net was sent from above to scan the ground below. Then, a folding mechanical arm is extended in front of the aircraft. After the arm is extended, it extends to the ice hole below. Just minutes after Chen Mo left, the sea water in the ice cave began to freeze again. At this time, a thin layer of ice had formed on the surface, only slightly lower than the original ice surface. The slender robot arm of the aircraft extends to the junction of the thin ice and the ice surface, and then a white cold air begins to spray out from the front end. After contacting the thin ice, it quickly condenses on its surface, making its thickness gradually increase, and soon it is flush with the ice surface nearby. Then, the robot arm moves continuously on the ice hole, and soon the whole ice hole is repaired and leveled completely with the surrounding ice surface. But it didn't stop at this point. Then, the cold air from the front of the mechanical arm changed and directly condensed into ice in the air and fell on the new ice. When the aircraft finished repairing and flew to Chen Mo's footprints to start scanning, the ice hole just now had completely disappeared and no trace could be seen on the surface. The surface of the ice hole that Chen Mo cut was completely restored, and there was no difference. Chapter 140. The sea water under the ice hole will soon freeze again and merge with the surrounding ice layer. At that time, it will be no different from before. It took several minutes for the aircraft to eliminate all traces left by Chen Mo and fly back to Chen Mo's body, in front of the driver's seat and in the air. After Chen Mo clicked on the screen and issued the last instruction, he put the tablet into the space. Then Chen Mo adjusted his sitting posture, leaned back completely on the back of the chair, and put out a coma. Hovering in front of Chen Mo, the aircraft first extended the scanning device, sent out a red light net to scan Chen Mo and his seat, and then extended a slender mechanical arm to spray cold air on Chen Mo. 10 minutes later, Chen Mo and his seat were covered with a thick layer of ice, which completely integrated with the surrounding environment. It seemed that they had been frozen there for 70 years. After finishing the camouflage task, the aircraft retracts the mechanical arm and slowly lands on Chen Mo's arm. As soon as it contacts, the aircraft disappears in the air. The whole control room was restored to its original appearance again, but there was an icy figure on the original empty driver's seat. Chen Mo lies quietly in the ice, motionless, seems to have lost his life, but his consciousness is still clear. When the aircraft began to camouflage him and made ice on his body surface, Chen Mo was secretly controlling his body to adjust. The muscles of the whole body began to relax, slowly and thoroughly, and the activity of various organs and tissues began to slow down. His breathing became more and more slow, more and more weak, becoming a little specious, and the speed of his heart began to slow down slowly, from dozens of times a minute to just a few times, and the speed of blood flow also slowed down. The body's function has been reduced to the lowest level in Chen Mo's control. The cell metabolism is extremely slow, just maintaining the most basic cell consumption, and the whole body's cells begin to become extremely inactive. After Chen Mo's metabolism decreased, the heat generated by his body decreased dramatically. His environment was glacial, with a temperature of minus tens of degrees Celsius. Under normal circumstances, Chen Moqiang's great physical fitness and vigorous metabolism are enough to maintain sufficient heat, which is not affected by the low-temperature environment at all. At this time, he actively controls the body to reduce the activity, and the cold outside begins to invade the body from the skin. Chen Mo did not stop it, but let it develop. Under the invasion of cold air, Chen Mo's cells, which were already very inactive, went into a completely dormant state, and all cell activities and energy consumption stopped. This process starts from the surface of the body and gradually develops to the interior of the body. Slowly, Chen Mo's body has entered a state of dormancy except for the brain, and the activity of the brain has also dropped to the lowest level. At this time, from the outside, Chen Mo has completely lost his vital signs, and the activities of respiration and heartbeat cells have all stopped. Only the EEG can see slight fluctuations. In fact, Chen Mo's current state is no different from that of Steve and Albert, who freeze the body and enter the sleep state. The only difference is that Chen Mo's brain still maintains a weak consciousness and has a certain perception of the surrounding environment. This is also a dormancy mode that can only be applied by injecting super soldier serum and strengthening the body. The strength and activity of ordinary people's cells are insufficient. Once they are frozen like Chen Mo, the cells of the body will soon freeze, and the cell membrane of the frozen cells will be broken, and the cells will also die. Therefore, if ordinary people freeze the body, there will only be a death. After Chen Mo's strengthening, the improvement of their physical quality is not only the enhancement of muscle strength, but also the enhancement of endurance, nerve response, immunity, brain power, and other aspects. The most fundamental reason is the enhancement of cells. Therefore, when they are frozen at low temperature, their body cells just stop all activities and consumption and enter a dormant state, instead of being frozen to break the cell membrane like ordinary people, causing large-scale cell death. When they are thawed, their cells will resume their activity again and return to the state before freezing. But according to the physical quality, that is, the cell strength and activity, the speed of recovery after thawing is also very different. Like Dr. Zora and Colonel John, they received the enhancement of improved serum, and their physical fitness was only 3 times that of ordinary people, so Chen Mo returned to Hydra Base that day. After being awakened by Albert's thaw, they were in a weak state for more than 10 minutes. Steve, who was injected with fortified serum, had 5 times the cell strength and activity of ordinary people. He could recover his body to the best condition within a minute or 2 after thawing, and be able to quickly put into the battle. As for Chen Mo, now his physical fitness has reached 7 times that of ordinary people, and his cell strength and activity, as well as his subtle control over the body, are far superior to other people, which is the reason why he can enter a state of dormancy and keep brain activity. If necessary, Chen Mo can break away from the dormancy state by himself. It only takes a few seconds to wake up the cells. The body can carry out activities. In a dozen seconds, he can completely recover to the state before freezing and fight. That's why Chen Mo chose this way to return to Shendun. He didn't have to worry about someone threatening his safety when he was sleeping. His brain is still running, and his environment is in his perception. If there is any abnormality, Chen Mo can quickly recover from the freezing and deal with it in a timely manner. Even if someone attacks him before he releases his dormancy, his Edelman armor can ensure his safety and successfully adhere to the full recovery of strength. More than that, Chen Mo, who attaches great importance to his life, has prepared the ultimate plan. Even if someone detonates a powerful bomb when he is frozen and wants to kill him, he can instantly release a heavy armored fortress that can resist the impact of nuclear bombs from space. That is, a large iron box to protect him. The structure of this fortress is very simple. It is a 3-meter-high sealed cabin. The bulkhead is made of a special alloy with a thickness of 50 cm. It can be directly taken out from the space to cover it. The hatch cover under it can automatically and quickly close and completely protect Chen Mo. In this way, Chen Mo's dormancy is really safe. However, due to his special way of dormancy, his dormancy cannot last as long as Steve and them. Normal ice sleep, the body's all activities completely stop, can be frozen all the time, but Chen Mo still needs to consume energy because he keeps the brain's activity. Although he will reduce the brain's activity, but still can't last too long, at most 1 month, he must be released from the frozen state. Otherwise, once the energy is completely exhausted, brain cells will start death. As for the complete dormancy like Steve and them, Chen Mo's heart is not so big. Although he is familiar with the plot, it doesn't mean that there will be no accident. Marvel's world is not so simple. There are many people who can threaten Chen Mo. Although it doesn't appear now, it doesn't mean that Chen Mo is absolutely safe. Chen Mo can't enter into a completely dormant state at ease. However, he doesn't have to wait too long. 3 days later, a team of glaciers was investigating a glacier in Greenland, and they found a giant frozen in the glacier. They reported this situation. According to their preliminary detection results, the huge iron and steel objects buried in the glacier are in regular triangle shape and more than 100 meters long, which does not conform to any known mechanical device. This particular situation was eventually treated as a strange event and handed over to the Department of Homeland Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support. The 2 agents were quickly sent to the scene, and when they came down from the opening of the equipment to the cabin, they couldn't help but stare at what they saw. The iconic black shield and the huge 2-handed knight's longsword clearly tell them the identity of the man in the seat who is covered with black armor and ice. The predecessor of the Bureau of Land Strategic Defense, Attack and Logistics Support is the Strategic Science Reserve. Chen Mo, as the elder of the Strategic Science Reserve, the founder and the first commander of the Special Forces, has almost smashed the legend of the powerful Hydra organization with his own power. All the agents who have access to secrets and have some knowledge of the events of that year regard him as an agent idols. Now, the hero, who has been missing for 70 years and should have died long ago, appears in front of them. My God! God! Looking at Chen Mo's majestic figure, they exclaimed involuntarily, "Headquarters, pick me up the colonel." An agent first came back to his senses when he began to contact the headquarters. "It's 3 o'clock in the morning, sir." The head office contact at the other end of the line reminded him that he didn't understand what was necessary to wake up their boss at this time. "I don't care what time it is," the agent said firmly. "He's been waiting long enough." Washington, D.C., Department of Homeland Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Headquarters Building. In a 1940s-style room, Chen Mo, lying in bed, slowly opens his eyes. Sitting up from the bed, Chen Mo looked around the environment: white walls, light green wainscot, the old desk lamp at the head of the bed, and the ceiling fan slowly rotating on the top of the head. all of which revealed a strong flavor of the last century. To be honest, Chenmo really missed that time, and it's time to meet his old friends.